right, guys, we are live. We got the mics on now. We good to go?
Check, check.
Check, check. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight here at the Live Well Fish, North Georgia. Got a great episode. Had a great episode planned, but we might have some different things that we're going to talk about tonight just based upon the latest news here in the North Georgia area. But we appreciate you guys watching. And again, if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, click that bell, all the things the cool kids tell you to do. And if you're watching at a later date or you're listening to us on Spotify or iTunes, we appreciate and love you just as well. And got some guys already in the comments section. I think it's going to, as the show goes on, we're going to fire it up a little bit. And but let's go ahead, as we always do. Let's take care of our sponsors, those that pay the bills, and we will go from there. So, Ken, Sonar Pros, Trent Palmer and the guys, 770-530-4505, the official sonar installer of the Live Well. Clint, you're over there with Trent. I'm going to let you do this tonight. Just give me something about Sonar Pros.
So Sonar Pros, Trent Palmer over there, he absolutely is, in my opinion, one of the best riggers in the country. Rigging your bass boat, getting that thing as spick and span as you possibly can. It's literally super clean battery box, clean wiring. It really makes a big difference when you're rigging a boat and having the right proper wiring. That he makes a dedicated wiring harness that does basically separates all your different lines to all your different graphs, keeps clean power going. I mean, he's rigged my boat, a ton of other boats, and a lot of the pros boats. So Elite Series, MLF, MPFL, all those guys go to Trent to get their stuff done right. And it shows. Like, you can see in the service yard, like when I'm at these events and I'm at the service yard, I'm seeing other guys that are having stuff break and having graphs come off in rough water and things like that. Most of the time you don't see any of Trent's guys over there. So it's pretty cool. They do good work over there. They take care of you. They're pretty quick with stuff. They're very transparent. And, it's good quality.
I didn't tell you I was going to do that.
No, that's fine.
Throw it at me. I
love you, Trent.
Yeah, Trent. I wanted to show Trent some love tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's definitely great people over there. And, of course, next we got our buddy Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing, 678-459-8419. Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com. His Patreon, patreon.com/lipstickerfishing. Megalodon spotted bass. That's all I need to say. Go to his Facebook page and just look. You need to book a trip with him. If you want to learn how to catch the big boys on Lanier, that's the guy to go with. And then, of course, we've got Evolve Rod Sleeves, the best rod sleeve on the market. Sell them here at Fish North Georgia. You can go to evolvefishing.com. I can't sing the praises of these enough. All I'm going to tell you is, if you got high-end rods and reels, and even if you don't, and you want them to be protected, Evolve Fishing is the way to go. And, of course, with all the expensive stuff we like to throw in the water, we want to make sure we get it back. And that's the Money Saver Lure Retriever, the best plug knocker on the market. Not even close. Right there. We got them here at Fish North Georgia as well. I'm telling you, it's a little tiny torpedo. It will get your lure unhung. And then if you're on Lake Allatoona and you want to fish with a legend, Bill Payne's Guide Service, 706-280-2305. The man is he probably forgot more today than we've ever known. I would say that's pretty accurate statement. The guy is one of the smartest anglers I've ever met, and he's a superhuman being. Lake Allatoona, of course, he does seasonal smallmouth trips, and he does electronic trips to help you get them dialed in properly. And then the young gun, Lake Lanier, Brooks Anderson Fishing. Check out his YouTube at Brooks Anderson Fishing, or go to brooksandersonfishing.com and book a trip with him. Lake Lanier, spotted bass. While you're fishing them in a certain location, how to go after them. Just he's amazing for a young angler. And he's super nice, and he's great with the younger people. So if you got a young angler in your family, want to get them started on the right way, book a trip with Brooks Anderson. You will not be disappointed. And we got our buddies Fishers of Hope. I didn't hear – they just threw a tournament. I think it was this past weekend. I think they had that tournament going on Chattooga up there. Let me tell you what these guys do. They throw fishing tournaments to help out people in need. It's an organization, a nonprofit that you definitely want to be a part of. If you need to contact them, go to fishershopeministry@gmail.com or go to their Facebook page and follow them there as well. And they always have posts like that. Good people. If you ever want somewhere to make a donation, you want to support somebody, Fishers of Hope right there, helping those in need with bass tournaments. And, of course, we got our guys up here in Jasper, Georgia, Turner Tires, 706-253-3339. Tires and alignment, small business, great family, great service. I'm telling you, it's where I take my tires. best of the best right there. So we appreciate those. And again, if you want to advertise your business and reach some of the most loyal and dedicated followers out there, those are the live well. Hey, contact me, Danny, at FNGO, and we'll see if we can work out something for your company to try to help you grow your business. And we'd love to have you here on the live well. So now let's pull back up the comment section. Let's see what we got going on there. Trying to watch this whole thing so Aaron Parker trying to watch this whole thing live for the first time. He's got the triplets. I remember that. He let them swim for this evening, so 4 hours, so they wouldn't hassle him. Hell, they'll probably be asleep. Probably be asleep right
Surely
there.
they're good for their word.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys, hey, listen, be careful tonight. We got some weather coming in, and some of you guys over in Alabama and up in Tennessee are getting hit with it right now. So pretty nasty stuff. But hello to everyone, and we're going to let's see, Aaron Parker. Danny, I tried to reach out to you about advertisement, but never heard back. Because Aaron, I suck. All right. Simply Comfort LLC HVAC. Hey, I tell you what, message me on Facebook, buddy. And I'll talk with you tomorrow like that. So anyway, want to go ahead. I've got my buddy Colin Steele right here. A lot of guys asked for me to bring him back on. He is a fishery biologist with what company?
Aquatic Environmental.
Aquatic Environmental. And he was on 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's probably 6 or 8 weeks ago.
6 or 8 weeks ago. We had a great show, a lot of good information. And so, guys, we are going to talk to him about fish behavior and this post-spawn funk that some of us are seeing. And of course, I got my buddy Clint Bartlett right here to my right, and Alex Purrs back there running the board. So let's go ahead. We're gonna jump on the elephant in the room and get it knocked out of the way. So the hot news today, coming from the Lake Lanier area, is that the Army Corps of Engineers has decided, due to the lack of manpower and funding, to shut down all of its ramps. All Army Corps of Engineer ramps will be shut down on Lake Lanier, which is interesting. It just depends on your take on it. I'm going to get these guys' opinion. And from what we have heard, eventually it will pass on to all Army Corps of Engineer lakes. Now, I can't confirm or that, but that is the prevailing topic that came down today. So, Clint, I'm going to actually let you start on this one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you fish Lanier a good bit. Got a lot of buddies fish Lanier.
Yeah.
What is your take on the news of what the Corps is doing?
Well, it's good. The good news is that there's a lot of ramps that are still going to be open. So it's not like they're shutting down the lake. Like if they are closing all ramps, that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But there's still options. So what concerns me, number one, parking. They were already crazy during the summertime. So, I mean, you're going to have to be getting there super early at ramps. So when they're shutting it down, and then I fish a lot of tournaments. So, I mean, your Barnes tournaments that go out of Little Hall aren't going to go out of Little Hall. And he's already paid for permits for a year in advance, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, what's he going to be like? What's he going to have to do? Like so it's already affecting our local community like that with tournament fishing. But I mean, then you got to look at the pros, right? So, I mean, if obviously they can't afford to keep people there or take care of it or whatever, I don't really understand what the excuse is exactly. I haven't researched enough on it since it just came out today. But just kind of thinking of like, if they can't support it, okay, that's fine. But like, what's the alternative? What's the plan? Like, what's going to happen to the economy, the restaurants on the lake, the gas stations around the lake? What's going to happen with all the pleasure boaters? Like, is this going to make less pleasure boaters? Great for us, bad for our economy.
Yeah.
So it's like fishing isn't everything out there. So like, obviously if they want to shut down the ramps, they can shut down the ramps. But how does that affect us in the fishing space? How does it affect those that live on the lake, that have family come visit, that have to drive an extra 30 minutes to go take their boat out if they don't have a ramp close to them, or however, like, so there's a lot of factors at play. I feel like we don't have enough information to really know what's going to happen. And I mean, they could flip this decision on us in 3 days. Like who knows what's actually going to happen with this. But I don't know. I'm kind of super in the middle on it. It's like I can still fish. I can still go put in at Charleston. Just got to get there a little earlier. It's fine for me right now, but like it could get ridiculous. Like finding parking. Parking's my main concern because like you dump the boat in and got nowhere to park, and then you get a ticket because you park on top of a porta john. And
Yeah,
then,
right.
Yeah, like
All right. So in the comment section, veteran angler, let's go. Still pre-spawning up here in northern Michigan. Dude, I'm telling you what, if I was a single man and had no ties to anybody here, I could live in northern Michigan. We went up there and went out of Glen Arbor. What are you shaking your head for?
Because I lived in southwestern Michigan, and it sucks when it gets
But
cold
that's
outside.
south. Well, listen,
It
I
gets
like cold weather.
and it starts snowing. Yeah, but it's the kind of cold that hurts your face when you go outside.
Listen, I just snuggle up to old Mrs. Pruitt a lot right there. So, or snuggle or whatever you say. Henry Cowan, my old buddy there. Hopefully the Corps will lease or sell the parks to the counties. That's an option, but that's also something that I would imagine would take some time. And then Christopher Brown, but maybe Henry, maybe for sure. And then let's see, Christopher Brown. It's a bunch of BS. They get volunteers to stay at the sites to watch them, and they get to camp there for free in return. Yeah, I don't know. Corps got visited by Elon. That was what I was getting ready to say. What's up, Far Dog? I was going to say, did we get doged? Did we get dozed?
That's what I read. It's federal budget cuts that are leading to it.
You think so?
That's what I read.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get on the phone with Trump and talk to him a little bit. Colin, you fish Allatoona far more than probably Lanier, but from what I've been told, this is going to end up going to Allatoona as well. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to affect Allatoona worse than Lanier because Lanier has so many ramps, so much more docks on the lake and areas for people to have their boats stored. Whereas Allatoona, I think the only county ramp is Gatewood.
Yeah.
I can't think of another one. Kellogg Creek might not be core, but and there's no docks on Allatoona. There's far less docks for people that live there or vacation there or whatever. So there's going to be a lot less boats on Allatoona, and Gatewood's going to be slammed. So it's going to be tough to get out there for sure. So it's definitely going to affect Allatoona and the people on that lake more.
And then that sends more people to Lanier.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mentioned to you Carter's Lake before the show. We were talking about Carter's.
Mm-hmm.
That's a core. Now, anything up above that, Blue Ridge, that's all TVA. So you guys that are worried about Blue Ridge, all that, totally different thing. But Carter's, if I'm not mistaken, has 2 ramps, and then they have Doll Mountain, which you're supposed to camp there to use that, and then the marina, which it doesn't have very much parking.
Right.
So if they implemented that at Carter's, and again, if one of you guys watching live up there, correct me if I'm wrong on this, that closes the entire lake.
Yeah, it'll be dang near inaccessible.
Closes the entire lake.
Think about how many people that don't pay attention to social media is going to show up and get like drive an hour and a half up to Carter's and then not be able to fish. That would suck.
Yeah. John Aldridge said Cherokee Mills Ramp by Little River Marina and Fields Landing are county owned as well on Allatoona. So there's a few, but
those are small ramps though. I mean, Fields Landing has 20 parking spots, tops, and Little River's already packed every weekend. So those places are going to be packed.
So Aaron Parker, Kyle Brown says tax money well spent, but Aaron Parker says, what's the purpose of what they're doing? What are they trying to achieve? Now, from what little research I did today, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't do a ton. All right. I didn't do a ton. It's they don't have the money for enough rangers to keep it safe. That was kind of one of the reasons. And I think there's probably a bunch of reasons. But a question was up there, when they say closed, does that mean the gates are physically shut? Yes.
Yeah,
as far as they're going to shut it.
They shut them today.
I saw a couple pictures of ramps blocked off completely on Lanier.
Yeah. And Little Hall being the tournament hub, that's, I mean, they're all big, don't get me wrong. But Little Hall being the tournament hub for anything that doesn't come out of Laurel Park, which is on the freaking north end, Little Hall is just, the way it's located is perfect. And that's the one that's going to hurt.
And typically, in my opinion, fishermen are the ones that are going to go over there and swipe their card and pay that ramp fee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like they're going to lose money.
Well, okay. So, I mean, they are losing money if they do that. Let's see right here. And guys, again, I know there's some of you guys already talking about Far Dog and Vet y'all are talking about pre-spawn and all that. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We're just going to cover this. Now, it's going to be Memorial Day weekend.
That's going to be a nightmare.
You mentioned social media.
Yeah.
How many people go to Lake Lanier? And again, it hasn't hit the other lakes, but go to Lake Lanier Memorial Day weekend. We know it's a freaking madhouse, just crazy there. They're going to pull up and they're going to be like, what the hell?
Yep.
What the hell? And then, you know, boaters that had already paid, or anglers that had, or even other people had already paid a yearly pass fee.
Yeah, I have an annual pass fee.
You have an annual pass fee.
Yeah.
Justin Butler, a buddy of mine that he posted on his Facebook page today, said he called and he asked, will those be refunded? And the answer was to him, probably not. So how many thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, will they be losing, or will the anglers be losing, be out of on that? You got a yearly pass, or you just, you
I have a yearly pass at Gatewood. So
now, okay, so you got the
that's
county,
the
baby.
only-
You're
the
smart.
only one.
Are they shutting down the campgrounds? From what I heard, there's some campgrounds that are on there. I know, like I was telling John was up here earlier, when I was little back in the 70s and 80s, we used to go to Sawney right there. My family, my grandparents and all that, we would do it once a year, take a week and go to Sawney, or Sawney, however you want to say it, right there by Beaufort Dam on Beaufort Dam Road. And it was like an annual thing, and that place was always packed. But it's been kind of closed for a while now, has it not?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anybody ever camping over there. King of Bass, when are they going to start closing? Now. Looks at watch, grabs bolt cutters. Time to be ungovernable.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about it.
Okay, well, put the camera on you and give me your rant. I want to hear what John Aldred. Excuse me. I got John on my mind because I was telling that
Alex.
story. Alex, what is
You
your,
get a kayak guy, okay?
he is a kayak guy. So
Somewhere like Bayless Creek.
Yeah.
Ton of no wake zone. It's a kayak fisherman's paradise back there. We're not going to be able to fish it.
and that pisses you off.
Yeah, it pisses me off. And there's a lot of areas like that. You know, I'd like to see them implement something, maybe more no wake zones around certain areas.
Yeah, the ramps that are open.
That would be cool, right? Yeah. Well, and that too, because the ones that you just post up the sign, right? They have the sign that says no fishing from the dock and no wake. Man, nobody pays attention to that. You got to put buoys out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just looking at that. All the comments right there. Now, Henry Cowan, like this, you bass guys. I like how he says that crap. You bass guys, because we all know he's a striper man. Ought to get your sponsor of your tourneys to put a deal together with Aqualand for your tourneys. It's private, gated, etc. I do wonder if some of the marinas will, maybe for some extra dough, allow people. I don't know. That's a good idea. WB Harrington listening on 1.35 speed to catch up. Good Lord, I can't imagine what I would sound like talking that fast. The problem with all of it is, it just, to me, whether it's through cuts, whatever, is it just come down like that. And you don't have, with a lot of things with Georgia DNR rule changes like that, you have public hearings. You get the input of that. We're talking about the Army Corps of Engineers that do not answer, even though, yes, our taxpayer dollars, as it circles bound through, funds them. What's the recourse? I mean, what could we really honestly do? You got any thoughts on that? Like, Colin, I mean, like, what could we do as anglers and, boaters as well, to even push this? Because I don't see a possibility of it.
Yeah, I mean, the Army Corps' main mission, which I think we're gonna get into at some point,
Yeah,
is not for fishing.
you want to pull that up right now? You want him to read it?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, listen to this. You guys listen to this, because I hit Chat GPT, and then I'm gonna let you get back on it. I hit Chat GPT. What were the reasons Lake Lanier was built? And read those real quick.
Number 1 is flood control. Number 2 is hydroelectric power, water supply, navigation, and the final one is recreation.
So you guys probably can't see that on the thing, but I had him pull it up now. What was number 1 again? It was flood control. Flood control for the Chattahoochee River.
Hydroelectric power.
And hydroelectric power. The navigable part is not so much for the Chattahoochee River up here in Metro Atlanta, but it is for water control downstream when you get into Apalachicola as a Chattahoochee becomes that. There's so many reasons, but at the end of the day, they don't really give a crap if you're fishing on that lake or not,
or boating in general.
Because just like, and I tell a story about Mark over here at Latham. He had, for those of you who don't know, it's a 340 acre water supply lake run by Cherokee Water Authority over here, just down by the shop, and it's gated, has hours, everything. Great lake, by the way, fantastic lake. Just you guys that can't fish, don't come over to my lake, but it's fantastic. But he had a gentleman come in one day just blistering him about they should be, because all you can do is fish on it, that they should be allowed to swim. How dare his tax dollars go to something that ain't closed, blah, 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 blah. And finally, Mark had to look at him and say, first of all, it's private, but we're in the business of water. Fishing is a privilege on that. So I think the Army Corps of Engineers probably looks at this the same way, is that water is the primary reason. We really don't care. I mean, other than permits, does the Corps make any money from it? I have no idea. If you guys know these answers in the comment section, throw it out there. What's up, Pontoon Jody? The fish won't get pressured in some of those areas. I think somebody's upset because of the amount of people on the lake this time of year. Tony, of course, Tony Collins says, call and email your representatives. I would say not your state do your senators and your representatives in Washington, not your local government, because they can't do nothing. Patricia Lehanshaw, what's next? No night fishing. Hey, listen, Jeremy Conkright says the Corps don't give a crap about fishing. It's all about what they want and nothing else. And then pull up Christopher Brown right here. I'm reading comments pretty quick. I knew there'd be a bunch of them. Can't do nothing. They own the lake and the land around the lake, the shoreline on Lanier, and on Allatoona, they own a lot of land around the lake. So, what do you think? And you guys keep it coming right there, because it's really kind of. I pull up Henry's. Danny, I spoke with the Coast Guard Auxiliary last week, and the government is trying to first make Lake Lanier and eventually all inland waters in Georgia navigable, meaning all guides will need 6 packs to guide anywhere right there. Hey, listen, it navigable in the state of Georgia is big with the river issues right now. Yeah. What is a navigable water and all that? Them guys are dealing with that. Christopher Brown again. I love these comments. I could just read comments here all night. We will talk fishing here in a little bit. Sure, they do. They think. Let's see. Let me read this. Sure, they do. You think they give away their power they generate for free? So they sell the power. Money. Okay, that makes sense. I was talking about like through permits and stuff, but that makes perfect sense right there. DA. Seems as if the Corps could make money from the parks, but no one is manning the park stations to collect the money. And Adam W. Fishing right below it. Any money collected by the Corps around Lanier goes into the big pot in Washington. It does not benefit the local project right there. So the problem they say is manpower and safety. And according to somebody today that talked to them, this is something they've been planning for a while. But the problem, again, is like nobody knew this was coming.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, 3-4 days before Memorial Day weekend for it to happen for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's going to be crazy out there this weekend, and it's going to be even crazier now at the boat ramps that are open. But I don't think there's anything we can do or anybody can do, because they're in the business of not flooding the cities below the river. Like Allatoona, that protects Rome.
Yes.
And, so that's their only thing. That's their job, is to do that and then generate power.
Yeah.
And they're not going to care about fishing. You know how hard it is when our tournament directors are reaching out to get new docks at Galt's at Allatoona. We got one at Gatewood, but that's a county owned ramp. But like Galt's needs a new boat ramp. But I think we had a big petition this year and it didn't go anywhere.
So pull up Jeremy Conkright right there. This is our buddy from Kentucky. Cumberland in Kentucky is ran by the Corps, and it's basically impossible to get a permit for a personal dock.
I hear that about Lanier. That you can't get it. A new dock.
Well, Ryan, on his, I saw a comment by Sheffield today that said that it's been really hard to get fishing permits this year on Lanier. So could they have known that they were going to do this for that long?
Well, they upped the permit price. Was it this year or last year?
I don't know. I
don't know how often
I
they've
don't
done that,
book
but
it.
I know that like the Porco's tournaments, they upped they're
Really?
collecting money up front from everybody on their first tournament to cover the extra fees, and I know the ABA raised their fees to cover permits. You know, that was kind of a foreshadowing, I guess, of the struggle for their money.
Pull up WB's comment right there. This is just like the shutdown where they closed national parks and still showed up to keep people from coming into the parks. Listen, you know.
Yeah, there's probably going to be somebody manning the ramps, you know.
Well, here's the thing: is they ain't got no damn money for them to man the ramps now. How they gonna man the ramps if they're closed?
Concrete.
It could be, but you get my point. That was one of the things. Is like we don't have the manpower. Okay, but now how are you going to police people not going in there and fishing? I just, is the DNR next for cuts? Henry Cowan says, well, listen, and I'm all for, I don't ever talk politics on this show because Lord knows I'm not smart enough, but I'm all for what Trump is doing, trying to streamline the government, cut it where it's wasteful, where we have wasteful spending. I get that. But is this a cut because of wasteful spending? I mean, if they, you know, how do you justify? I'd listen, no lie. I mean, damn, if we just take a bomb or two away from Ukraine, we could probably pay for the park rangers to do that. Christopher Brown, Allerton, it's impossible to get a new dock permit. Colin says up this year, ABA price based on permitting. Pull up Henry's comment right there. The Corps is not offering permits any longer, as they say they're out of the commercial business. This is, I mean, it's just really, really interesting. But I do wonder if they would sell the ramps to the surrounding counties. But the biggest question is how much of the surrounding counties have a budget to go buy, lease a new ramp?
Shoot, I think Forsyth County's got plenty of money.
You think so?
I bet Forsyth County could buy every ramp in their area.
Well, they probably could. They probably could. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. And I'm kind of calling out all the anglers, myself included. How is it that we didn't know this was coming? And how many of us just never worry about what's going on in the government, never pay attention, never go to public hearings? And that's with everything. You know, your city council's up here voting for something, or your board of education's voting for something. How many of us just sit back, have not been involved at all, and then all of a sudden now something like this pops on us, and we're all pissed off, mad as hell about it, but we haven't been involved or paying attention for years? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I saw so many comments on Facebook today, guys, just absolutely terrible waste of tax dollars, terrible this, and I get it. But you know, we didn't do shit. We ain't done nothing. I mean, when's the last time, has anybody in this room been to a DNR meeting for the state of Georgia?
Never.
That's on a Georgia level.
Nope.
So are we at fault as well? Yeah. I mean, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah, I understand. Let's get mad. But at the same time, it's like, we don't participate in our government and pay attention. Let's see. Ryan Potts. Lots of parks are in bad shape. The roads are crumbling and the campsites are in poor condition. 100%. Goes back to what I just said. We've known that for how long? But you guys, at least on Allatoona, you've been trying to get docks.
Yeah, we've tried.
You're trying. I'll give you that. You know.
Thank goodness, like Gatewood, the county park, they put it up.
Jeremy Conkright, to get a dock on Cumberland, you have to be grandfathered in. I understand that. And Tony, guilty, Danny. I lived the government life for years, and once I got out of it, I disregarded a lot. That's where I'm looking at this. Is like, I don't agree with them closing it, but as an individual, I feel like, well, shit, I haven't done anything to stay involved, and I got one of the biggest fishing social media things in the state of Georgia, just kind of like the river thing when Georgia Bass was on here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay attention to that. I had no idea what the law was, much less the issues that have gone on. So now we got this, the Corps doing this. They haven't been issuing permits. The first time somebody tried to get a permit and it was taking longer than usual, that's, you know,
yeah,
that's the first sign. And all of us, none of us have done anything. And we don't have a problem when they're shutting down like USAID or whatever, throwing all our tax dollars over there, which I think should have been done. But
They got to close all of them though.
yeah, I know.
You know?
But here's the thing. It's not that they're just doing it on Lanier. It's the fact that it could go to every core lake in the nation. Every core lake in the nation could possibly. Now, I don't know that to be true. I'm just saying, why stop at Lanier and Allatoona?
The two biggest core lakes in the country.
They are the two biggest, most visited core lakes in the country are Lake Allatoona and Lake
They're the
Lanier.
first to get shut down. Which, if you think of it that way, that don't make no sense.
Listen, I don't know. Tracy Coker said it's nationwide right there. What's up, Cranking and Yanking? Listen, Cranking and Yanking, we're dealing with some serious shit here. We're dealing with some serious stuff.
That's going to hurt my friend in Missouri. He's not even going to be able to fish at all now.
Wow, they only got core
They've
ramps?
only got core ramps.
Wow. All right, pull up Eric. And Eric, sorry, I was in a meeting when you called me earlier today. All these ramps and day use that will be closed will be trashed by the end of summer. If they can't keep up with it, then who will enforce the closure and keep people from ruining it?
Mm-hmm.
You know as well as I do, that gate is only a suggestion. You might not be able to launch a boat from it, but it's only a suggestion.
Think about the vandalism.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just coming at it from a fishing perspective and all that. Clint, if you run the government, what would you do right now?
I would put more shitters on Lake Lanier. We need more shitters.
We do
Have you
need-
seen the ones?
Bayless Creek was closed on Sunday.
Really?
The bathroom?
Yeah, I couldn't go first thing in the morning.
That's tragic.
Listen,
That's
that's why you got to pay attention to this show and figure out how Father Time
Have y'all
does it.
seen the ones out in the middle of the lakes that they have out in like the Lake of the Ozarks? They'll have floating docks that are just bathrooms out there.
No, I've never done
That's
that.
badass.
That is a good idea.
Could you imagine if there was just a big old outhouse in the middle of Lanier? Like instead of having all them sailboats floating around, we could just have a big old shitter out there. That'd be so nice.
But there'd probably be some other nefarious stuff going on in the floating bathrooms.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah.
You go and you're like, you got to wait. You know, you just hear all kinds of noises coming from in there. The gambler tournament was canceled because of permit issues. I remember that being said now, but I didn't realize it was this kind of issue.
Is Hartwell a core of engineers?
Yes.
Lake?
You know what'd be interesting to know is like all our tournament directors that are getting these permits, what they've been hearing. Like if any of them are in the comments, it'd be interesting to get their perspective.
Well, that's why I said Ryan said it was a problem earlier because he runs his club. Pull up Far Dog's comment right there. I was the only guy that showed up to a DNR Oklahoma meeting and fought against Oklahoma's new tournament regulations. I showed up and I begged people to show up. Now, see, I get that. Now, see, Far Dog, though, here's the thing with that. You know, we got Georgia DNR, and they do have, public, what do they call them? What's the fancy word for them?
Public hearing.
Public hearing, is that it? I thought there was a fancy word for it. They do that, and we got the man here. We can, Goon, I'm going to get with you here in a second. But on the state level, they allow us to have, comment, and they have that time before. This is federal.
How do you find out about them and stuff, though? Because the only way I ever see about a public hearing is like a little sign on the side of the street.
Well, you're talking about like just regular, like public hearing for like land use or something. I don't know, but I know that when they change, they're going to do regulation changes, and you might know this because you got to work. You work in the industry. They often will put out stuff on their social media saying, "Hey," or with hunting or any regulation change. Don't they do that on their website?
I know that they have the meetings and people that are kind of involved in the industry will get word of that. We kind of follow it for different fish species that might be coming up to be illegal or species that are illegal that are becoming legal, stuff like that. And so we definitely are involved in that. And they have meetings about that. And there's actually some big organizations. You're saying us as anglers don't do anything, but there is big organizations within the state that they go to these meetings and try to fight for our different issues. So it might be good for people that are out there to look into those if they are, looking to contact somebody.
Okay, I got that.
Pull up Eddie's up there.
Did it go on up one or two? Right there, Eddie. There we go. For the fishing community outside of tournaments, isn't this favorable? Fishermen get to the lake early and fill up all the parking spots before the pleasure boaters do.
Yeah.
Y'all know 100%.
We do.
100%.
How many guys with bass boats have a dock on Lake Lanier? How many pleasure boats have a dock. On
More,
Lake
Oh.
Lanier.
I'd say more pleasure boats than bass boats.
That's
on
what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
dock.
There's still going to be a lot of pleasure boats.
What it is
We-
though going to prevent or at least get down is that guy that lets his wife try to back the boat.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, good Lord, she's all over the place. But pull up the goon, cerebral. All right, dude, I got a job for you, and I know you like to research and do this. Okay, you're just the man for the job. So today it came down that the Army Corp of Engineers closing all their ramps on Lake Lanier with Allatoona to follow, and this is supposed to be a nationwide thing that any ramp they own closed on these lakes. Don't know how it's going to affect lakes in other states and all that, but I know that that's a big thing on Lanier, but especially on a little bit smaller lake like Allatoona and all that. So put your investigative hat on and find out who the hell we need, whose number we need to give out to everybody so we can just inundate them with emails and all that. So do that right there if you don't mind for me, my buddy. Let's see. Bruce and Tammy Arnold right there at the top. They're from Winterville, Georgia. Love fishing Lanier, land of the giants. I paid my yearly pass. Who's going to be reimbursed prorated for the 10 months I haven't used? What we've
Nobody.
heard from other people that called is you're not going to get your money back.
Nah, and it's $40. Like, come on. Like, they're not.
I
gonna
get it,
send
but it's
out
still
40
purpose.
bucks. Yeah,
But $40 times how many?
plenty.
Across the United States if they do that. Let's see. John Voltis, right there, right under Bruce and right up there. Again, I'm late to this. What's going on with Core Lakes? I'm on Clarks Hill. Is Clarks Hill a Core Lake?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a big lake.
It's a big lake.
It's on the Savannah River.
There's-
I think it would be. It's tied in with Hartwell.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do? Shut down all their ramps, starting with Lake Lanier and then working their way down. Yeah. Hey, listen, Adam. We will be. Adam Dobson
There.
wants us to be safe. So
Somebody
yeah, we will.
posted the Core Lakes down there.
Uh,
Coleman.
Where is that? Pull that and go. All right, here's the Core Lakes in Georgia. Hartwell, Russell, Clarks Hill, West Point, Eufaula, Seminole, George Andrews, Carter's, Tuna, and Lanier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You ain't gonna be able to fish some of those.
Carter's, you won't be able to fish.
No.
So this is the snowball at the top of the hill that is getting ready to just start rolling. And, pull up Cerebral. If the weigh-in trailers are rocking, don't come and knocking. Oh, he's probably talking about your bathroom. We're part of that. I mean, we're probably that far behind in the comment sections. He said, I'm on it. Thank you. So we get Cerebral to find out. Pull up anybody. Just pull somebody up. There's so many comments. If the Corps isn't going to manage it, then the state government needs to sue the federal government for the land rights to all these ramps. That's a possibility. However, I do believe if I called them up and said that tomorrow, I'd probably get told, well, we got more important issues. So I don't know. I don't know what's on it. Keep on going down. Just keep hitting me up. Keep hitting me up. Some like people. I love this. It's just it makes my job easier. We're just reading comments right now. We ain't got to do nothing. Also seems odd they are doing this the last week of school and right before a holiday. For sure. Bad timing. Didn't read the room.
Max has a good point too.
All right. Ramps were not manned during COVID and they were open and free to use. I think it's got to be okay.
There's
go.
more to it.
Yes, let's go conspiracy theory. What other than manpower? And since they don't have the manpower, hell, I ain't seen nobody at a ramp in forever anyway. I've heard it was a safety issue because they can't have people manning the ramps, which it's been that way forever.
Mm-hmm.
Conspiracy theory. Give me a reason off the top of your head, maybe other than manpower that is getting shut down.
Money in general. They're cutting back. It's got to be somebody said, "Oh shit, let's trim the fat." Somewhere.
But if they're not,
I don't know where or how or what, but it's only reason it could be is money.
if they're not manning it, they're not spending the money on it anyway.
How
Well,
many
it's
people?
number 5 on the list.
It is number 5 on our list of importance.
Yeah, it's low man on totem pole there.
All right.
And
Well,
how many people go there and don't pay the fee to go to the park or to use the boat ramp?
oh shit, a lot of them.
Yeah. So just put a gate up and make it like a parking garage. where you get a ticket when you go in and you pay for it when you leave.
And guys, listen, if we miss your comment, because there's a ton of them,
That's actually a really
Put
good
it back.
idea, Alex.
The longer you're there, the more you pay. Just like a
Nah.
parking garage.
I mean, that's kind of like the beaches all along Florida. You know, when you got to pay for a ticket and it's X amount of dollars per hour. And
yeah.
okay. But like Cerebral said, cost, I get it, cost, but nobody's manning the thing anyway. How are you losing money? Now, do you think it's pressure and possible litigation from people drowning in the lakes? The threat of litigation. We just had that gentleman in the kayak die on the near. Now, come on. I see you, Alex, back there. Put the camera
No,
on your
I
face.
I can't talk about that.
Well, you can't talk about it because you
No.
get mad?
No, because I'm not supposed to.
Oh, so you know what I know?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what, but still, it happened there.
Yeah.
It happened there. And in most
You got
circumstances,
to look at circumstances.
yeah, the
You know,
circumstances.
You really
are a
got to
little
look at the
different.
circumstances.
I'll tell you guys off camera.
What's 99% of the deaths and drownings on Lake Lanier involved with? Not fishermen.
Oh, no, I
It's
understand.
pleasure boaters.
It is pleasure boaters. I get it.
Mhm.
What are all the, well, again, though, the pleasure boaters, a lot of, especially the ones with the big ass land yachts and all that on there, they got a marina. Their boat's already there.
Yep.
just a good point to make.
Yeah, put it on him.
That has nothing to do with that, but we're talking about drownings. Is how many drownings has there been on Lake Lanier for people that were wearing life jackets?
0.
Yeah.
0.
Just another point to wear your life jacket out there. I've worn it ever since I moved here. I used to not wear it.
Yep.
I started wearing it, and I don't care what I look like when I'm out there. I'm gonna wear my life jacket.
Okay, I got you. Pull up.
Anytime that big motor's cranked, I'm wearing a life jacket.
Yeah. And the tournament's just required a
Yeah,
lot of them.
for sure.
Go up one more above James Archer, and then we'll get to his. Jim Wright. West Point Corps contracted cleaning bathrooms at the ramps to the city of LaGrange about 5 years ago. Yeah, but I ain't seen anybody clean a bathroom on. I've never seen. I'm not saying
Bayless,
it's dirty.
wasn't even open.
Yeah, Bayless wasn't even
They
open.
just lock them.
James Archer, we've got a list of what we currently know on the Fish North Georgia group page. TP, here you go. Here's something. In my humble opinion, it's a way to sell the property off to the counties. Essentially, what happened with ramps like Charleston builds up demand for a sell opportunity.
Like Mary Alice with Forsyth County. They bought Mary Alice Park.
But that was a cluster too, because it went between the county owned it, then the city took it over. Then the county owned it, then the city, and it's just swapped hands because they didn't want neither one of them wanted to pay for the upkeep or whatever. So it kept swapping hands. Tony Column Fishing, again, pull up Tony's right there. So I'm in construction. OSHA was told to prove they were needed. We see them multiple times a week now. Ooh, so like get off your ass and do your job kind of thing. But I just wonder if that's something with the Corps. TP, they wanted less management of the lake and focus on generation. Again, that's back to the number 2 reason Lake Lanier was created. Kevin, when I got to go, I got to go. Upkeep the roads of garbage, ramps, crime. Randy Callahan on the phone with Musk. He is building robots to man the parks. That's what we need. That's what, but listen, I want the robot like at the Mexican restaurant that brings you a margarita or something like that. That's what we need, them little things like that. Let's see. Somebody also put to make a point. I saw that up there somewhere because then right there, where was it at? I saw it.
It was way up there.
Okay, but anyway, somebody said to prove a point. To prove a point. You can scroll back down.
Tony said it.
Tony said, "Oh, they're making a point." Okay, I saw that, and then I just saw a comment though that kind of, WB Harrington, exactly. Closing the ramp is to make you feel it. It's very interesting right there. I mean, I don't know. War Eagle the best. It's not a free country anymore, boys. Too many regulations and bans. Rather live in the 1950s if I could. But hell, listen, War Eagle, if we was in the 1950s, you wouldn't get to watch me. We got to have that. Has anyone seen at the parks on tuna will be affected as well? Yes, yeah. Ron, it's coming. It is coming. And here's another good point. And we're going to talk some fishing too, guys, but we're just going to, this is a hot topic. You mentioned it, Clint, and we were talking before the show and all that, and in local economies. Now, will it make a huge thing, or will the money just transfer from, one little area to? If you live by Laurel, that little convenience store right there by Laurel Park and all that.
It's going to affect the families that work there
That work where?
and the stores that are close to the ramps that are closing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I get it. Let's see. Beaufort Dam Bait and Tackle is on Beaufort Dam Road. And a lot of people come through right there. It's convenient.
I mean, if you have to drive
That's
to
Little
different boat
River.
ramps-
Ain't Little River on the closed list?
it'll be open. Somebody said it was a county.
Okay, good.
So
Okay, good. So
JD's and the
that'll
little
help them
store
guys
down
out.
the road be all good.
Yeah, hey, no problem, Ron. And anybody got an update on the Braves score? Let me know. Strider didn't do the good. Coleman Jones. Oh my God. Pull that up. Maybe we need Randy Blockett to post a YouTube on this and tag USACA.
That's why they're doing it, because of forward-facing sonar. They're closing all the boat ramps.
Is that what it is? Hey, listen, if anybody can figure out a way to tie the two together, Uncle Randy could do it. Uncle Randy could do it. Braves trail 5-3. Appreciate it. The Panthers are up 2-0. That means Josh is watching. Josh, nobody gives a shit about hockey. No, I love you, dude. I love you. So, Little River is up top of the 8th. Little Ridge is where the first reported concrete barriers were placed. I don't know, but like you said, I did hear that Little Ridge was open. So
Well, Little River.
They were closing them today.
Yeah.
Little Ridge.
if-
So Little Ridge. What is the one we put in at EBO across from Mary Alice?
Yeah, that's Little
Yeah,
Ridge.
that's Little Ridge.
Okay, that's what I was. I said
It's-
Little
yeah,
River. I meant
it's
Little
gonna
Ridge.
close.
That's the one I meant. Wyatt Martin. This is what's going to happen. Some Karen is going to pitch a big old fit this weekend when they pull up and don't know. There'll be some people going to jail.
Yeah, I'd like to see a trail camera over there. That'd be pretty good.
You know what? That would be funny as all get go. And according Tyler F. According to the USACA, this is National Safe Boating Week. Happy boating, everyone.
It is actually.
We're going to make it harder for you to get there, but
Less people on the water.
there's people on the water. That's what this is all about.
It's actually not. I mean, think about it. Now you got everybody at one boat ramp, jam
Right.
packed in. It's going to cause more problems than good.
Hey, listen.
More dings with trailers,
people
more
hitting you.
yelling kids.
Did we
Fighting
mention
in the
Nate
parking
Fisher?
lot.
Huh? Yeah. Again, though, what you're losing out on is watching that woman back a boat up. That's the best stuff. Or the jet skiers, because they can't see that little thing behind them. Bless them guys' heart. It's hard for them to do. Nate Fisher. Was Russell on that list earlier that I read off?
I don't remember if Russell was.
I think
but
it
Hartwell
was, wasn't it?
It was Clarks Hill, Russell,
Clarksville, yeah.
all those lakes out on that river.
So again, like it's not those other lakes. It's not happening right now. Lanier is where it's starting. Tracy Coker, right there. According to their site, they're closing temporarily due to staffing and resource limitations. Yeah, that's what they say. But I mean, if they haven't had staffing on them in a decade, all of a sudden we're not. I mean, I really see it hard to us getting a boom.
It costs them more to close those ramps than it has to keep them open.
It probably does.
They probably had more people out there today than they have in the last year.
I don't see this lasting more than 2 months.
You think it's temporary? You think
I
it's
think
truly
yeah.
temporary?
I think this is just to flex power, right? Same thing with tariffs, flexing power. Like you got all this stuff that's like, let's flex power, show you that we have control, and then once they get tired of hearing all the bitching, then they're gonna back off and give in. Like,
Okay, but what are they flexing for? What's the point of them showing? Just that they can?
you don't own the water, bro. We do. That's what they're saying.
You don't own the water, bro.
My daddy owns the lake.
My daddy owns the
Yeah.
lake. All right, hello Tatum. That's my
Exactly.
daughter. Gotta say hello to her,
What
baby,
John said.
baby girl right there, or I will hear about it when I get home. if I
Hey
don't do that.
Tatum.
There you go. That helped me out a lot right there. Eric Richards down right there. There you go, dog. It's going to affect boating Atlanta's kayak sales. Hammond's is going to affect everyone that visits the lake. If there's a handful of places to go, how many will decide to do something else? Well, hopefully all the pleasure boaters, but but
Salmons is real close to Charleston Park, but
and
still,
Charleston's open.
I mean, where are you gonna park all these? Like, it's already full. Like Charleston was already full this morning at 6:30,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
and
I'm
like
sure.
that's on a Tuesday.
Pull up. Henry's comment just went off the screen, but he said about pull it out there. The rivers in Georgia, like the Hooch is next. The national park section on it's federal, like that. So, I just kind of feel like a lot of us are sitting at home like, yeah, cut this program. Yeah, cut that program. Oh shit, they're cutting our program. And now we're like, what do we do? Andy Miller, pull up Andy Miller's comment. WSB, which for you guys that don't live in our area is the
Working son of a bitches.
is that what it is?
I don't know.
No, it's the radio station. It's the radio station in Atlanta. WSB says there are 70 recreational areas around the lake, and over 20 of them are core locations with no updates on what will be affected. So this is hitting the news. I mean, this is hitting, now granted, you know what you're going to go watch social media tonight. Go to Facebook and post up and watch how many people say this is because of the ghosts on Lake Lanier getting back at us. This is what this is all about. Cerebral tackle. I just made a call to the local official corps. Initial words is hiring freeze and lack of budget due to DOGE restrictions. It's not the staff you see, it's the staff you don't see. I'll call more tomorrow. But hey, Cerebral, I understand that, buddy, but we ain't seen nobody staff these lakes in forever. So because you got a pencil pusher in there somewhere and they're gone, I just don't see how that will affect it. I don't know. But yeah, stay on it, buddy. And hold that. Oh, Hawkins. There we go. We've been trying to get a meeting. Is that what you meant? For 3+ months. This has been going on for longer than what people realize. And that's kind of what we mentioned earlier, kind of with the, it was brought up. The permits have been hard to get. So I would imagine if anybody knew, you would know. Clint gets them DMs.
What does that even mean?
That means you get them people sliding you sliding into your DMs like that. Let's see. Just keep pulling up comments, guys. What would be the closest ramp to Flat Creek if Bayless is closed?
It looks like it's going to be far away.
Is there nothing in that area?
Vanja's going to close. Mountain View's going to close. Bayless is going to close.
That pisses me off about Vans because that's where Eric always went out of.
There's going to be, that's why I'm upset about it. There's going to be a lot of water on the lake now that I can't access.
And Alex, talk about for kayak fishermen, it's a lot different. Like you can't put in where you want to fish. Like, how does that affect fishing?
There's gonna be a lot of trespassing.
It's gonna suck, man. I'm not gonna be able to, like I said, I'm not gonna be able to access a lot of water now. And I'm not very happy.
The electric lakes are about to get busy.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna be.
My electric lakes.
I will be fishing at night on Lanier and fishing in the daytime at Danny's Lake.
Oh, I like you. You can
wearing them out.
Tim's got a point right up there. No, yeah, that right there. I've been trying to get a permit for a month. It's affected the way he's trying to get permits for his tournaments. But Tim, if you're running electric only tournaments and people are not putting it, I mean, I bet you there's a loophole.
Digital.
Huh? Digital. Do them digitals. I bet you there's a loophole. Let's see. Just keep pull up Adam W. Fishing. Danny, I agree. Everyone wants budget cuts until it affects them. Yeah, I mean, I get it. That's the thing. Hollis is closing too, I heard. Yeah.
Only for you.
Hollis Latham is now closed. You can't go fishing there. You can't go fishing over there. Joshua says, let's go fish and screw the Corps. True, until they drag your ass off in handcuffs or something like that. I wonder what, I guess it'd be a trespassing ticket. But hell, they ain't got nobody to man it, and they ain't but like one game warden for every 3 counties or something like that. So that's on the state level, right? Anyway, Ty Patterson. Oh, I'll pull up Cerebral real quick. I know, same here, but there are mandatory daily visits by personnel that aren't normally noticed. One ranger to 3 or 4 parks or even a lake doesn't cut it. I understand that. I get it. We just don't like it. Ty Patterson. with the guy that just died in the inflatable kayak, maybe they're closing parks to save lives with Memorial Day weekend coming up. Don't need any more fatalities to start the summer off. Yeah,
I
but
hate to say it's still going to happen.
oh, well,
And it's happened every year for how long? We've had something go on Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend
yeah.
on Lanier.
Well, and here's another thing
mean-
too. If you take, you and I mentioned it, and somebody said Hartwell, but you and I mentioned that Lake Allatoona and Lanier are the two most visited Core Lakes. So if you take 7 million people, let's just say, I don't know what the hell the number is, but say 7 million, just for shits and giggles, and you have 2 fatalities on the lake in a given year. How many? Okay, you guys kind of got a guess on how many people die on just Lanier. Let's just say the number was 10. That is an infinitesimally small number for the amount of visitors. Now, 10's too many. I understand that. I didn't mean it to sound like hateful, but you see what I'm saying? So I don't think safety could be the issue. You didn't know we was going to be talking about it this much tonight, did you? You thought you was going to come talk about largemouth bass.
So in 28 years, there has been 140 deaths on Lake Lanier.
140 deaths.
That's 140 drowning deaths. There's also been 76 boating related deaths.
Okay,
That's
so let 200. Let's just say 200 plus.
Yep.
You take however many millions of people that come on the lake.
That's a small number.
It's a very, very small. Now, again, 1 is too many. I understand. But so I don't think it's a safety issue. I 100%. Now, it could be. Clint gets them. My question is, if they won't respond to tournament requests, what ground do they have to enforce penalties? I ain't got a clue. You got a clue with that one? From Clint gets them DMs?
Jesus. My question is, I mean, yeah, they're not gonna. You're gonna be running dirty derbs. Sounds like
Dirty derbs.
dirty derbs.
So right now you can have a tournament for up to 10 boats, I believe, on Lake Lanier with no permit. Anything over 10, you have to have a permit.
Yeah. Same with Allatoona.
Yeah.
Probably all Core Lakes.
Probably all Core Lakes. A lot of dirty, lot of dirty ones. What
we
you
could just organize 4 dirty derbs at once, and then.
Dude, we need
have
to
an
start a
ordinance
dirty
to-
derb field, like a trail. That'd be
a dirty
cool.
derb trail
Dirty
on Lake
derb.
Lanier?
Hell
Yeah, we
yeah.
can do that. The highway is haunted. Guys, I promise you, if you just want some fun tonight, probably go to WSB's Facebook page that posts that and see what people are going to be saying, the reason why they're doing it.
It's ridiculous.
Kevin M., it's the legal liability for all these accidental deaths. When's the last time we tried to sue the government for anything? I think that might be tough, but you might be right, Kevin. How about this, Kevin Thornton? I haven't heard it mentioned, but closing ramps will most definitely affect lure manufacturers. I have to wave to the car honking as it goes by. You know how people do dirty derbs now? What you do is you advertise it for 10 boats. 24 show up, they just show up, but you advertise it for 10. That way you're not drawing attention to you. But now you never know. So anyway, John Volta says 4 separate tournaments, and oh my God, we accidentally mixed up all the leaderboards.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. All right, Aaron, go take them, put them kids in the bed. We understand that. So you guys in the comment section too, I'd love to hear like some serious solutions or what you think should be done. Now, we're not doing a question of the night this week, but I still want to go ahead and shout out my buddies over at Serve IT. Okay, because I knew this conversation was going to go good and I didn't want to stop any of this. So, guys, if your company is looking for a complete 100% all-inclusive IT management solution for your company, whether it's big or small, Serve IT is the company for you. 100% American-based, out of Georgia, as a matter of fact, with a great system, and they will fix problems, prevent problems. Basically, it's a one-stop shop for all your needs. And if you're looking to change careers and you're looking for a career in IT service, Serve IT might be the company for you. Go to serveit.com. Check it all out. Great people. It's an awesome company, and we appreciate them. But we're not going to do a question of the night because, number one, we got to talk about this. Go ahead and pop that thing. It's okay. You worried about what a pop top sounds?
I was letting you get your sponsors out there.
Yeah, I get that, love. Let's see. Let's get Alan McCready. I'm sure if it's to make cuts for budget, they could cut a lot more without closing the ramps.
Feel like, why are they not raising ramp fees?
Right.
Or
They're taking away their own budget
yeah.
by closing the ramps.
Yeah.
I'm just the messenger, dudes.
I know.
I ain't got a damn clue. It all of a sudden was just like, hey, here it is today. But again, I go back to, we should have seen this shit coming.
It could be just, if we're thinking of it on that end, like getting money at the ramps, but how many questions are the people at the office spending time on these issues? And that's where they're cutting. They're cutting the people that are permitting.
And that's kind of what,
the permits. They're dealing with the public. So they're eliminating that. And the ramps is the easy solution.
Hey, Ron Swinford's got a good comment right there. This will not affect the state game wardens or the county water police that the lakes have, but it will create havoc for Memorial Day weekend. I think that's the issue. Pick days that will hurt. They probably could have waited till after Memorial Day, but again, well, of course, we said nobody's going to know, but now if all the news channels and all that are picking it up, maybe it will prevent some people. Coleman Jones. The only appropriate reason to close would be if they are stocking all lakes with herring. Otherwise, the Alabama Bass Council needs to take over the ramps.
We need a Georgia Bass Council.
Hey, listen though. Okay, I wonder how many of the lakes over there are core.
I don't know.
God knows you'll be putting out some videos if it ain't.
They got a lot of TVA lakes.
Do they have a lot of TVA lakes?
I'd imagine Gunnersville and Pickwick and that whole Wilson.
Yeah, probably so. You're probably right. Pull the next comment up. In all reality, this does show how little the government cares for us. $45 million for the military parade, but they can't afford to pay for toilet paper. Listen, $45 million federal government's chump change. That's like me going out and spending on a pack of, not hell, smaller than that. But I get what you're saying. It's kind of the look. Doc Holliday. Dyer's pasture ramp on the upper part of the Oconee is a federal DU project with a $5 ramp fee. Pay and get a receipt for your windshield. Have never seen a federal guy only there. So I get it. Kyle Brown, Georgia Power, buy the land and maintain the parks for a discounted power price. That would be nice. Clint, not this Clint, 100% strategy behind doing this before Memorial Day. Sounds like an organization trying to pull more funding by protesting. Max Wilson, Coda Chain is Alabama Power, so it might be, like power companies own lakes. It's just, I tell you what, guys, it's crazy, but let's do this. This story is going to go for a while, so let's just try to keep up on top of it. Cerebral, give me that information though. And, I'm sure we will touch more about it again on Thursday night. But I did bring this man over here beside me right here to come up and talk fishing a little bit. So let's just transition. We spent an hour or so on it. We probably could spend 5 hours on it. But at the end of the day, we're all going to be saying the same damn thing. And so let's just, kind of keep doing it. Alan does say, one more question, one more comment on that. How much of their overall budget goes to the upkeep of the ramps? Maybe they are doing this to retaliate against cuts. I don't know, boss. I don't know. It's a good thought. But, Colin, let's transition over to fishing right now. One of the reasons I wanted you to come back on, first of all, we had a great show the last time you were on. And I'm going to talk to you about that Latham thing, too, that you were kind of mentioning. I'm still going to pick your brain a little bit about that. But right now, a lot of people are experiencing the post-spawn funk. Clint, you fished at Kiowee the other day. You fished Lanier today.
Yep.
Kind of explain in biology terms, since you're smart, what happens to a bass once the spawn is over, as far as recovery, what they need so they can start going back out and slamming baits.
Yeah, I guess to put it into easy way to think about it is if you went, Danny, you went and ran a marathon.
Shit.
What are you going to do for the next couple of days?
Die.
So these bass, they're spawning, they're protecting their fry, the males. They're spending all this energy. They're not really eating. They're just doing that for weeks. Sometimes all month long, depending on the weather. And then when they're done, they have no energy. They don't want to chase a bait. They want to go recover. They want to go rest, lay in bed, kind of like what you would do after a marathon.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing there. That's what these bass are doing. And they start to transition off of their spawning grounds out to their summer areas. But right away, it's just that lull of they're just tired. These fish are run down, tired, and they're getting ready to feed back up and gain that weight back and the energy that they need. But right away, that's what they're doing. It's just recovering.
I got to ask this because I'm looking at, you got the buck on a bed. He builds a bed. He's sitting on there. The female's laying off. She's still eating like women do. I'm just kidding. But she goes up. They have a quick courtship. She goes back. Does the female really expend that much energy in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to lose a lot of body weight during that period.
Yeah.
And that's their sole purpose, is to go up there and spawn, and that's what they're going to be focused on. And you're saying that, but they're up there way more than you think. That male is getting that bed ready and whatnot, but that female is constantly coming up and checking up, seeing if she's ready to go and if the temperatures are right. And we catch those pre-spawn fish February, March, and then there's between like the pre-spawn to spawn, there's usually a little 2-week period where you're not really catching as much as you think you might.
Right.
And that's when those fish are kind of in the in-between stage of what they're going to do. And they're spending energy the whole time. They're not eating is the problem.
That's what I was getting to ask you. So the female in like a week or two up, because we think, pre-spawn, we're still getting it. But there's a come a time when the female actually just shuts off, and all she is worried about is, does he have the bed ready? Is he the one that I want to go love on, etc.?
If you look at the weather this year and last year, we had the potential for 2 good spawns at a month apart. Last year, we had a spawn in February, and then we had a spawn in almost May, late April. So that's a big gap window. This year, we had one early. Maybe, Clint, you were fishing, you noticed it.
Yeah.
We got up to 75, 80 degrees for like 2 weeks straight, and then it got real cold again. So those fish just went up, got ready to spawn. I mean, I was fishing hickory log, and they were on bed everywhere. Then I went back the next week, and they were nowhere. Yeah. That cold snap came through, and then they did it again. So they spent a month in that process, if not 6 weeks, of going back and forth and not really feeding up like a pre-spawn bite, you'd think. Yeah. So that's a lot of time to not be, full on predators.
Right. I got that. So War Eagle the best. And if you got something in it, jump in, Clint. Tell me to shut up. Pull that one up. Caught and took 2 fry spotted bass this Monday, midsection on there. Both had eggs. Okay. What is the reason that most of the spotted bass have not spawned yet? What have you noticed?
I haven't. I'm going to leave this one to Clint just because I don't fish linear as much. So maybe you're seeing something, but
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of post spawn, a lot of sores on them too, like a lot of extra sores on them. Like typically see them post spawn, they look beat up, but like there's like gashes and just big old fungus hanging off of them. And like I saw one with a tumor somebody caught the other day, had a big old tumor coming out of the side of his cheek. Like they just look rough. They look real beat up, real. So
you think it's
like
post
missing
spawn
scales? Yeah, they're post spawn.
Those fish are stressed out.
Yeah,
right.
They don't have time to recover and kind of get healthy. But I think to answer that question is your spawning lasts a long time. Yeah. They could spawn in February till mid-May.
Well,
you got to think of how.
And some of them
pretty
don't
cold
spawn.
spring. I feel like.
They don't always get that spawn off.
Yeah,
things could happen where they don't get that spawn off. They can still have eggs. They can lay partial. They can lay in 2 different beds too, where they might have some of their eggs in one bed and then go to another one. So maybe that fish, went to a couple beds and then still had some eggs left over and moved on. Because you'll catch fish in the summer with eggs. That doesn't mean they didn't spawn this spring.
But that being said, we did catch a couple with some fat bellies today too.
Yeah,
that were like.
And of course, you didn't cut them open,
but they were so beat up that they looked like they had already spawned and they're feeding back up. And they were. I mean, they're schooling fish too, so like they're feeding back up.
Okay.
It doesn't take much for a bass to get fat. You could eat 1 hour and that fish goes from skinny to fat.
I've got kind of an unrelated question, but so I think about humans, right? And when we burn a lot of calories, we're having a high metabolism, you get skinny, you get lean. How are these spotted bass getting so fat when they're chasing herring? How do they get so fatty? Like, how are they not just all straight because they do have a lot of muscle on them, I feel like. Like, how are they still getting that just absolute gut? Is it
Keeping
just
that
from-
weight on and gaining weight
Yeah,
and
like
stuff.
how do they keep the weight
Yeah.
on?
I think it's just the plethora of bait. I mean, I went and fished Lanier Sunday, and I haven't fished Lanier in months,
Mhm.
and I couldn't believe what I saw on live scope because I'm so used to fishing Alatoona, which doesn't have as much bait. And it was everywhere I looked, there was bass and there was bait right beside them, and they were always
Yep.
on it, and they were feeding all day long.
Mhm.
I think that's the answer. I mean, they're built to be that pelagic feeder. Like Lake
Yeah.
Lanier's set up perfect for a spotted bass. All that open.
But how do
water
they not
humps.
burn all of it off just because they just keep constantly feeding? You think they're just like constantly just filling that tank?
A bass doesn't stop eating.
Yeah, that's their only job.
I mean,
yeah,
if you want to grow a big bass in a pond, your goal is that bass eats a bluegill, turns around, eats a bluegill, turns around, eats a bluegill. Every time they're turning around, they're eating something. That's how you grow big fish. So if you're seeing that on your bass that you're catching, that's just because they're putting themselves in that same spot that they're never not around food.
Yeah, I got it. On that, I want to make sure I get Coleman Jones's question. Just popped off the screen real quick since you pulled it up. Is it true in ponds that bass grow about they grow about 1 pound per acre?
No. So each lake has like a carrying capacity. So a 1 acre lake pond in Georgia, non-managed to be a good fishery, just your typical farm pond that you have in your backyard you don't do much with. It's going to produce between 60 to 100 pounds of fish per acre. That's
Okay.
total biomass, bluegill, bass, everything. So then it just depends on the balance of that fishery, how many bass you have, how many bluegill to have, and that's how you're going to delegate that average weight of a bass in that sense.
You're so smart. But Thad Moody says from one biologist to another, that's a pretty good explanation. And that was when you were talking earlier about the time before and, that they were actually coming up. And when we were talking earlier, the first question,
Yeah.
we're just that far behind on the comment section. So I will tell you guys this. Most of the lakes around here are post spawn, but I got a buddy up here at Big Canoe that has sent me in the last 6 days. He has sent me an 11.44, an 11.14, a few in the 7 to 8 pound range, all on bed. Now, granted, that's a much smaller lake, but the difference in water temperature.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so
even Lanier was only 72 on Sunday. I mean, a bass is going to spawn between 60 to 65, but could go the other side of the spectrum.
See what Joshua Goad says up there, though? This is how quick it could change, too. It was 79 at Bayless this evening. So that's good. We've had a couple hot days.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was 90 the other day or today.
Yeah. So I agree with Clint. Every bass on Lanier looks like a zombie right now.
Yeah.
And then the very next question, which is good, and you can answer this, my biologist buddy. Why do these spots get all those sores on their side after the spawn? Caught 10 plus fish that had sores last week. So what causes the sores and the cuts and all that?
A few things. One would probably be the stress of the spawn. Just when they're working that hard, they don't have time to take care of themselves to keep, good slime coat. They're down there. Some might be fanning beds or they might be spawning. They're getting roughed up. They don't worry about taking care of themselves during the spawn. They're worried about spawning.
That's me.
So that's kind of where that comes. And over time they're going to recover, and that slime coat's going to regenerate, and they're going to heal themselves when they become less stressed. But a fish is so fickle that when it gets stressed, I mean, that fish could die, like out of the blue. It could get a disease, get fungus growing that next week just because it's stressed.
Really?
So is that like a bacteria? What is the actual sore on the side? Is it just like like a scab almost?
Well,
or
they have kind of like what we have scabs
Yeah.
that regenerate, your skin. They have that slime coat, which is kind of like their protective layer. So when you take that away, they don't have anything to protect their skin, to protect their scales and their body there. So it just it's not meant to be dry.
Gotcha.
So if they're getting stressed or handled, especially during the spawn, if they're getting handled, it's so easy to wipe that slime coat off.
Gotcha. That's why you kind of see them towards the tail where somebody would hold a fish.
A lot of times you can you'll probably think of it now when the next time you see it, but you can see handprints.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that.
You can see the fingers of somebody holding a fish.
Yeah.
And do you think sunblock affects that a lot too? I've heard people talking about like they think certain sunblocks
like oils,
take
different-
off the slime.
Yeah,
coat.
I mean, if your hands are bone dry and it's hot, or you lay them on a carpet, or it can just wipe it right off. And that's one of the worst things you can do is take a slime coat off a fish if you're trying to protect that fish.
So what do you think about when you watch tournaments or you see people like that where they just boat flip them onto the carpet and stuff?
I mean, I boat flip fish.
I know, but I mean, but is that hurting them if you do
It's
it?
not proper handling if you're trying to protect the fish.
I understand. Okay.
But you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
I mean,
that's
if you're trying to get
$100,000 online. I get it, 100%.
BFE, baby.
Andy Miller. Again, we're going to test your knowledge right here, big dog. Do you know the caloric density of herring? Another biologist had mentioned that it takes 500 bluegill to add a pound to a bass or about 150 trout. Just wondering the correlation. If I ate 150 trout, it's going to add some weight to me.
Yeah, I don't know the actual caloric of a herring, but they are a lot bigger than a shad. So we compared them to shad,
Yeah.
a bass, and this is why these blueback lakes have these spotted bass blown up. They're going to get a lot more out of a herring than a threadfin shad because of the size difference. So they're going to get a lot. They have to eat less herring to gain weight than a shad. So that is kind of the same thing that he's talking about with bluegill versus trout. But that's like a big thing in the pond world is, you stock trout to grow trophy bass because they only have to eat. A 20-inch bass can only eat a 6 to 7 inch bluegill, but they can eat a 10 to 12-inch trout. Which one would you eat to gain weight?
Yeah, and then you mentioned, was it you that mentioned the way trout is made, much easier for a bass to swallow a big trout than it is for them to swallow a big bluegill because of the fins and stuff?
Yeah, there's no.
Was that
hard,
you
yeah,
when
that
you
was,
were on? I thought you said
yeah,
that.
they don't have any hard spines, and they're just slender, torpedo shaped. They just go right down the gullet. I think last time we were talking about, I think Jeremiah Gallows got on. He started talking about his swim baits because he always throws those big swim baits. And I think I was talking about I shocked a bass that was 9 pounds, but it had a 1-point-something pound gizzard shad down its throat. It was a 15-inch gizzard shad and a 24-inch bass, and that bass went from 9 to 11.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it was just tipping the scale.
Was it stuck in it?
That's wild.
It had it halfway down its throat.
So it was working it down.
It would have had it if I didn't shock it.
Oh yeah,
I made him lose some weight.
Fish is just sitting there minding his own business, eating a 15-inch gizzard shad, and then all of a sudden he just gets electrocuted from this man. It's like, what the hell? What the hell?
Yeah, we messed him up. He didn't like that.
When you shock a fish, this comes from that comment right there. It stuns them, right?
Yeah.
And they float up. But I mean, and I know you can't personally speak of it, but I mean, what does that feel like to the fish? Is it something that just hits their nervous system and just they don't feel it, or do they feel it?
Well, it comes in pulses, like the electrical current is pulsing through the water. So fish that have scales, bluegill, bass, stuff like that, they're going to try to fight it, but they're going to get hit, and they just kind of they don't always freeze up. It's dependent on conductivity, which is the amount of electrical current you can produce in the water. So if it's high, you got good conductivity, you're going to stun them.
Okay.
But you get a fish, but those scales, they can kind of fight it off so they can swim out and deflect some of that, those pulsations. But you get like a catfish that doesn't have scales, they just freeze. But shocking catfish is a whole different story. You got to adjust your pulses and everything if you actually want to capture them. But if you roll over a bass, he's going to fight it and come up towards the current and get stuck in that current, and you'll net him up. But a catfish, a lot of times when I roll over one, he'll freeze on the bottom and never move.
Get stuck on the bottom.
Completely stunned.
But it doesn't hurt them?
No, they usually recover. Some
and I'm not talking I'm talking about
activity.
Yeah.
I've seen fish get stunned for less than a second, and I'm chasing them with a net just trying to get them on the boat. And then I've seen fish stun 5, 6, 7 minutes. But as long as their gills are going, they're good.
Okay.
It's just kind of like if you got tased, you're still breathing, you're good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Breathing is good.
Yeah.
Breathing is
you
good.
You can
right
kill
there.
fish electrofishing, but you got to be doing something wrong most of the time.
Okay, that was just a question I had because I was sitting there thinking, like, does it hurt? And I'm not PETA.
It hurts when you put your hand in the water.
Yeah, I know it hurts us, and I'm not PETA or anything like that. Huh?
Have you done it?
Yeah, the only time I got shocked, I was in Louisiana, and we had 3 fish of almost 10 pounds in the net at one time, 3 10-pound bass, and it was so heavy. I had a bunch of other bass in the net too. It was so heavy I had to reach down to grab the handle of the net, which is metal. The rest is and I didn't even think about it because I had 45 pounds of bass in my net, and I wanted to get those 10-pounders, but I got shocked holding on to the metal.
Jeremy Conkrite says, I've seen bass basically not have tails from fanning the beds. We see that a lot on pictures now. Guys are holding up a fish, and if it doesn't have the sores and all, like you said, it's red as get-go on its back end, and part of the tail is always. Does that grow back?
You don't typically, so you see it now, and then we don't see it during the summer. Once they recover and get going again, they can regenerate fins.
So yeah, so
you could do like a fin clip on a fish to market, and they'll grow it back over time.
oh, okay, yeah, because we talked about that the last time you were on.
Yeah.
So they lose a quarter of their tail.
They might lose some of it, but over time that tail
The majority
can grow back some of its tail, like the actual fin part.
He says, "Give me a stock trout lake any day. Bigs like them trout."
There's a couple up in the mountains. I'm not going to name them, but there's a couple up in the mountains. If you want to go catch a 10+ pound bass, to go up there.
Well, hell, that's Big Canoe, where my buddy was sending me pictures.
These are public.
Yeah, now they ain't public, but they put 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. That's what they told me anyway, of stock trout 9 months out of the year, maybe 10 months out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're required. People that fish it are required to keep 4 every time. They can keep 4, but they're required to keep them. But think of the bass that are sitting down there.
Mm-hmm.
They stock trout up in the Burton chain, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they got that hatchery right on Burton.
Okay, cranking and yanking. He's still here after all the Lake Lanier talk. Appreciate you, dog. Are those sores and whatnot from sitting stationary on the bed and not moving much?
I don't know that answer. I would think it's just from fanning and getting roughed up and just doing their thing down there over time. It's more of that marathon thing. They're just getting run down.
Okay. All right. So
do you think spots fight each other? And maybe that's where the sores are coming from?
Like $2 or like, that's my woman?
They're aggressive fish.
I'm sure they
I've seen them kill for
I'm
sport.
sure that if a bass is protecting the bed and another bass comes in, he might, that bass may go after it like they would a bluegill or anything else.
I've never seen a fish fight. I think
I saw a spot
rubbing
kill
all up on each other, son. They're just getting a little freaky with it.
Oh yeah.
I saw a spot kill.
Yeah, that was what was going through my mind. That was what, huh?
I saw a spot kill a big old gizzard shad and not eat it.
Well, I've on the pond that I used to grow up in, the pond I grew up with in my backyard. The way I would catch the bass, this is before we got into big lake stuff, is I take a tube of crickets, catch some brim. If I got bored every once in a while, and I caught like a titty brim, big one. I know it's me. Huh? What are you laughing at? That's what it's called. Titty brim. That's when they get that big old hump on the front.
You got balloons.
Titty brim. All right. So anyway, I'd put it on a hook. Just mean. I was a teenager. Throw it out there, and I would watch bass just beat the crap out of it. They never could eat it, never would eat it. It was almost like, it's hurt. I'm just going to go be mean to it. You ever seen anything like that?
Well, I mean, a bass is going to try to eat anything it can.
So you think maybe it couldn't eat it? It was just trying to kill it.
Could be. It could have been trying to eat it and just couldn't get it down its throat,
Yeah.
Or
I had a lot of fun with it, though. It was a lot of fun watching.
you catch a big bass doing that, though.
Oh, yes. That's how I caught. I was spoiled as a child because I caught 7-8 pounders all the time. And my dad would let me keep them. Didn't know it. We just had to put them all back because it wasn't but a little 2-acre lake. I probably caught the same fish 52,000 times. But regardless, I thought that was bass fishing everywhere. Kind of like a kid that gets to go hunting with his dad in like a high fence thing. And he's just plowing through the 12-pointers. And somebody sticks him up here on Dawson Forest. And he's like, it's a different world. That's what it is when you go to Lanier and all that. Eddie Krauth. Right in the middle. Right there. Do bass feel pain like humans? When I get a hook in me, it hurts like hell.
I mean, they do have different receptors that they can feel and taste and do stuff like that. There's no research that can tell you that, what they feel.
You didn't ask them. You tried to ask them, does this hurt, little buddy?
They do have all those sensory glands that they can feel and do all those things. I mean, you don't see a bass just laying calm and trying to rip a hook out of his mouth.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But how about this? How about crappie? They got the very thin membrane, that's what people call them paper mouths and all that. That little section right there by the mouth, do you think it has pain receptors in it, or is it just skin?
I don't know the answer. It could be, kind of like some of our areas that are kind of more numb than others. And
Well, let me tell you what gets numb when you get in your 50s, boys. Get ready for it.
I feel like the forward part of the bass's mouth.
You knew what was coming.
As soon as I said that,
Did you see me smile?
I knew where you were going.
Yeah, I'm sorry. God forgive me.
I feel like the forward part of a bass's mouth typically doesn't feel the pain from your hook because they eat stuff like bluegill and crawfish, and everything they eat is clawing like hell trying to get out of there.
I mean, they're built to be tough.
But now, when you gullet hook them,
oh, for sure,
story.
For sure. Cranking and yanking. I would expect it's parasites or something because they're sitting still. But what do I know? Hell, what do any? He's the one that got the education for it. He should know right there. So, but I get what you're saying is that they do all their stuff. It opens it up. Slime coat's gone. You're in fresh water. Lord knows you ain't supposed to drink it without boiling or something. There's probably just parasites.
Yeah, I mean,
How about Lake Lanier? What kind of parasites are in Lake Lanier?
Yeah, I don't. You got to ask them, the state biologists out there. But I mean, if there's cormorants and loons and all these birds, I guarantee there's intestinal parasites in a lot of fish out there. But in yellow grub is a very common one. You'll find that in the flesh of their meat, just a little yellow worm.
Yeah, you see people posting that picture.
On their skin, and that's just a yellow grub. That's super common. I see it every day when I'm working fish up. So I guarantee they're in Lake Lanier.
Yeah,
it's mostly transported through birds, crapping in the water and stuff like that. And they're eating things and they crap in the water, and then that's just how the system goes. But it's
or
very
Kevin
common.
or Kevin.
Yeah, Bayless Creek bathrooms aren't open.
Bayless Creek bathrooms. How about this though? And this is a dumb question, I know, but I'm going to ask it because I've seen people ask that. If you fillet a fish, it's got them worms in it. Chunk it, or do they die when you cook it?
Fried up. You'll be fine.
Fried up. If you see little worms in the meat, fried up.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Are you saying because the worms are okay, they're tasty, or I mean, like seriously?
It's not going to harm you. They're going to be cooked out. You're fine. It's not going to.
Did you hear that? Did you
Yeah,
hear that
Now, if
question?
I opened up a fish and it was like crawling, I don't know that I would eat it just because I'd probably get grossed out. Be like, that's nasty.
Huh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if there are just a few grubs in the meat, I've probably ate. The majority of fish I've probably ate has had that. The majority of fish most people have ate off these lakes has that.
What's your favorite freshwater fish to eat?
To eat? Oh, probably crappie. Maybe walleye.
Walleye.
What did you say?
Crappie.
No, say it right.
Crappie.
There you go, baby. You're in Georgia
I mean,
now. But I get
walleye is probably my favorite, but I don't target them much anymore. So
Yeah.
around here.
well, hell, ain't nobody gonna get targeted them if they close them ramps on Carter's.
You got Blue Ridge.
You do got Blue Ridge right there.
Still think a wintertime spotted bass is the best.
Titty
Yeah, I mean,
brim.
I like spotted bass.
Oh, spotted bass make a mean taco.
Oh yeah, they're good.
Let's see.
I made some spotted bass po' boys in the wintertime. They're
Oh,
so
I
good.
bet that was good.
They're so thin, white, flaky meat on the compared to a largemouth. A
Yeah.
spot is definitely much better eating, in my opinion.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
100%.
100%. Let's see. Titty Brim was bringing those balloons. Yes, sir. T-Toms, it's been rough on the bank this month. Been launching chrome lipless out of the middle and getting lucky occasionally. Any recommendations on what to change up? I'm running blah, blah, blah. I'm running shad-shaped stuff so far.
I was fishing on the bank this weekend.
Yep,
and,
yep.
Caught a few largemouth, slinging a shaky head with a monster shad imitation Senko that I had made. And I was just paralleling the bank, throwing down the bank and popping it back, and they were eating it.
Yeah, I'd definitely say go more on the worm. A drop shot with any kind of morning dawn worm right now is catching them. I mean, I caught 3 or 4 on it, but around wood, especially if you have laydowns, things like that, throw you a little drop shot out there, 1/8 ounce tungsten weight, and what worm of your choice, but a pink worm gets bit right now.
Okay. All right. What about you? They both gave
Yeah,
their
if I'm
recommendation.
bank fishing, I'm gonna stick with a worm or a jig right now. Just beating down rocks and timber, whatever cover you find. I'd probably fish cover if I'm on the bank. I'd be trying to target parallel down the bank and drop off stuff like that. If you're casting out in the middle, I'd probably wait till you see some shad getting busted on to do that.
The T-Toms, just throw a wacky rig. Just throw the damn wacky. But I'm gonna go back to those questions up there. But T-Toms had another one. Morning dawn worm any time of the day? Does the watercolor matter?
Then no, not at all.
Didn't matter.
Throw
It
pink.
mattered Sunday.
Yeah, because you said you
I sucked.
you suck Sunday.
Well, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I had 4-pounder, a 3, and another 3 that I weighed in, and then I broke off 4 times because my line was garbage. But I probably had the right fish bite, but I only caught 1 fish on a drop shot all day, which kind of gets into that funk thing. And I had my own.
What lake?
On that was Lanier,
That was Lanier?
and I was fishing offshore on humps.
Okay.
I
All
mean, I
right.
caught my biggest fish on a drop shot, but
Was it morning dawn?
no, I changed colors right when I caught that fish. I switched to like a KVD Magic color, which
Yep.
is like a greenish, like with a silver underline.
Was that a largemouth or a
It
spot?
was a spot.
Okay. I'm always
yeah.
curious when people say color and they caught a big fish. Was it large? I like to play the color game just to
I
see
usually
the
throw pink though. That's my go-to. First thing I had tied on in the morning.
It's
was
good, especially
morning
clear
dawn.
water, and especially clear water for sure.
Yeah, it's a good
and
bait.
I mean, sunny, cloudy. I haven't seen a difference. They're either going to eat it or they're not. And don't be afraid to dead stick that thing. Like, I'm talking dead stick it for like a minute or 2 minutes.
Just sit it
Like,
there.
Dead stick it.
I
Because
caught
like
mine like
the
that.
amount of fish I've seen just like sitting there, they'll stare at it. They'll go swim over here. They'll stare at it. They'll go swim over here. They'll make some sores on their buddy over there, and then they'll come back and then they'll be like, "I'm gonna eat it now." Like it's.
Did
it's
you say
crazy.
go make some sores over there?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Go up. I missed go up. Keep on going up.
Coleman had a good one.
Yeah.
I got this.
This is a very good. You got it. I'm gonna let you answer first, and we'll let the
because I'm
bite.
curious on what he thinks about it.
Okay,
too.
what's the best way to stop a gill bleed on a bass?
So we did it today with Kaz. So Buzzer Rocks makes a cauterizing spray that like cauterizes a wound. Basically, I had one with morning dawn worm in the gills, and went up through the gills and got it out, but it's still bleeding. Sprayed it twice with the Buzzer Rock spray, rinsed it off. It cauterizes, fish is all good, not bleeding, everything's rocking and rolling. Have you heard of this stuff? Have you used it at all?
I haven't used it because I don't catch fish, so I don't have to worry about that.
Me too, my man. Me too. But from a biology standpoint, what's the
I mean,
best
if it
way?
works, I'd go for it. I mean,
A cauterizing agent?
yeah, if
Something
you
with
use
that?
something like that. And
Are you
can
telling me
slow it
Mountain
down.
Dew don't work?
Mountain Dew works, but there's probably better stuff on the market nowadays. But
Yeah.
But why does Mountain Dew work? Just out of curiosity.
it's got to be something with the acidity.
Or the sugar, maybe, because
Yeah.
there's 69 grams of sugar per.
There is a lot of sugar in a
Mountain
Mountain Dew. I've always, there are guys that don't carry anything but a Mountain Dew on their boat just in case.
But, I think most of the time, once I get to that point, that fish is going to die down the road next week or so anyways. So I don't think too much of it. But, if I'm in a tournament, I'm going to try to do something. I have a spray ball on my boat that I got at a giveaway, and I use it. I don't know what it is, but it does help reduce that bleeding and slow it down. Keep them alive till weigh in. I think that fish is going to die the next day and next week. But
Even if you put something on it, like what he's saying,
oh, yeah,
What if you just get the hook out and release it?
they'll probably die.
Really? The
If you
water
hook it
doesn't.
foul, if you foul hook it.
you talk about in the gill.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hook a bass in the gill,
I-
no matter what you do, you think that fish is going to
There's
die
a
with
good
it.
chance unless it's not like impaled deep. Like if you nick it, they got plenty there to help them. But if you're causing it to bleed and some big damage in that's a critical area for that fish. You're gonna the post mortality on these fish is enormous. I mean, after tournaments, 30 to 40% of our fish die.
Yeah.
That's proven through research. Tagged research data that after 30 to 40% of fish that are caught die.
Is that because of the hook or because of the stress of putting in a live well?
All of it.
All of it together.
Yeah, handling, live well, transport, water to this, water to. It's just it's just part of it.
Okay. I like, what I like though? He says that, and it's like you would get some people that would give you a 20-minute speech after that on why you shouldn't fish. But he's like, hell, it's just part of it.
Yeah.
I like it. That's the way it is. Let's see. Turtle food, Ryan says. Yes. Mountain gill stops a gill bleed. Listen, T-Toms, there's been more Mountain Dew poured down fish's throats than you can shake a stick
It's
at.
crazy how they're starting to sponsor a lot of fishing stuff. lately.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like
Man, I need to get involved with
You
that.
got the Guggen squad.
Goon squad.
They sponsored them
Yeah.
heavy. You got Wesley Gore on the elites. Who else is Mountain Dew? Gerald Swindle.
I
Yeah.
saw a really nice shot of Emil pouring some dew down a fish's throat.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I don't know why it works. We don't have no idea. Somebody said, hey, do this. And then you tell the next person before you know it, everybody's pouring Mountain
Next time
Dew.
you bleed, take some Mountain Dew, put it on there, see what happens.
Is that just a gill bleed, or
Hey, that's
if I gullet hook
Like, see
them
if it's
and
kind of like
they're
how
bleeding,
like
it's the
peroxide
same thing?
foams up. You're like when you put it on a wound. I wonder if it's something like that because I've never actually took Mountain Dew and purposely tried to stop the bleed.
I go buy Mountain Dew. I'm on a diet. My wife's gonna say, "Why are you drinking that Mountain Dew?" I'm not drinking. I'm waiting. I get
Hold
cut.
on.
I'm waiting. I get cut. What
will
would you say?
Mountain Dew stop like a gullet bleed too? or just a gill hook?
I think once you get them in the gullet, that's when you just.
I mean, I
cut the
had
hook, right?
one that had it in the goozle.
Your
I
your
mean,
best bet there is to cut it and hope it rusts.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to pull. You don't want to be pulling that out. A lot of
Yeah.
people will grab it.
They
and
might
pull.
make it. It just
Yeah.
depends how quickly that comes out. Because if they can,
Yeah.
they might make it. Depends if they can eat. If they
Yeah.
can still eat with it in there, they'll probably make it. But if you start yanking on it, you'd probably cause more damage.
Just cut the line.
You're better off
of the hook
cut,
as far down.
especially if you're tournament fishing. Just cut it.
Now, okay to just cut the line, or do you really like? Should we start carrying a pair of like really snips that get down there and cut that hook as close as possible? It doesn't matter.
I mean, if you can cut off the barb, like if it's poked through backwards, that'll help come out easier.
Yeah.
But you probably won't be able to do that. 90%
Right.
of the
Yeah.
time.
That makes sense. War Eagle the best. And guys, again, if we missed your comment or question, post it again. How quickly does a bass get rid of the bait when the line breaks? And what percentage of bass die in this case? I will say this. I know they did a shocking, and I don't know if it was you. Did you ever shock Latham?
Yeah, we shocked the company I work for. Shocked it. I did not personally shock it.
Somebody told me they did a shocking over Latham. This bend, we're talking a while back.
Yeah, it was in the teens.
Okay, and they would cut open every so many bass
Mhm.
that shocked up. They would cut it open and see what was in their
Yeah,
stomach.
We still do that on our surveys a lot of time.
I got told that just about every bass that they did that had a trick worm in it. Like, I mean, the guy was being serious. Like he had heard through, I don't know if it's the guys at the lake or not, but the plastic worms were still in it.
I see it all the time. Yeah,
Can-
just a lot of times we'll cut it open and then we cut the stomach open a lot of times it's to show the client what they're really eating because they think they're eating. I got tons of bluegill and then they're eating fish this big.
yeah.
But I've seen a lot of worms in their stomachs because it's hard for them to pass those.
Well, okay, so let me ask you: plastic worm in a fish's stomach,
Mhm.
will it eventually dissolve out? Will they eventually pass it, or is it there forever?
I've seen the most worms I've seen pass or try to pass is like a Senko. Like
Just 'cause
that's
it's so soft and
I
salt.
don't know
you
what
think?
the material is made of compared to like a Zoom bait, but like a Senko style bait, they seem to disintegrate. You've seen like an old Senko that swells up. And
Oh yeah,
those seem to I've seen them halfway out trying to pass. But a lot of times if I get a real nasty looking bass, super skinny, gross looking, cut it open, I'll tell the client, I bet there's something in here. There's a worm in there. And they haven't ate for a long time because they can't pass that worm and they're dying.
okay. I was just curious if it broke down or
I'm sure
they could
some do.
pass
It probably depends on the material. But
that Z-Man shit
I've-
probably doesn't.
oh no.
I'm here walking around with that Z-Man in there.
Man, if they try to pass that, that'd be a rough one.
Good grief. Well, hey, listen, it's durable. It's durable. Andy Miller, right there in the middle there. I seen a video that mentioned that bluegill sit still to keep bass from eating them. Are bass's eyes able to see inanimate objects, or do they like trek it and need to see it move to eat it?
Well, if we're talking about
Like a
largemouth,
T-Rex.
they're ambush predators. They're not going to, in an ideal world, they're not going to move to eat. They're going to want to sit somewhere where they can ambush, and when prey comes by, then they're coming out to go get it. Or so that if a bluegill's sitting still and that bass is waiting to ambush, it probably is in a better situation than some that are swimming around freely, for sure.
I never thought about that.
I mean,
makes
bass will
sense.
chase largemouth. They
Yeah.
chase, but they're going to want to ambush. They're a lazy, of the black bass species, they're the laziest.
So like with shaking a minnow and I'm fishing for a spotted bass, I'm trying to keep it way super far away. But when it's a largemouth, I'm like trying to keep it on his freaking nose and make him eat it.
Oh my God, Ryan Sheffield went T-Rex, Danny Dam. Think about Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
All that. Don't move.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's
You know what?
T-Rex.
Somebody needs some new prescription glasses. I do, dude. I really do. I can't even wear. Seriously, I'm blind.
T-Rex, Danny, damn, I can hear him like saying it. That's
Could you
hilarious.
see Ryan doing that?
Yeah.
And he's probably
Yeah, I
laying
saw
there in the
those
bed.
T-Rex
His wife's
too.
right beside him. He's screaming, "Damn, Danny T-Rex!" But Ryan also believes in Bigfoot too. So you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. I'm just kidding, Ryan. I love you. You know that. But I didn't think about that. But now here's the question: does the brim know? Okay, T-Rex comes at me now. I know to stand still.
I mean, they're going to learn.
Well, hell, are they going to get eaten? Yeah, but I
they're gonna
mean,
learn where not to go, but they will eventually. But
that makes sense. So if you watch a guy with a swim bait or something, or some of the stuff them kayak guys do. I just said that for Alex back there. I just so I can cut it, he can cut his eyes at me. But you see that bass kind of following something, and if you kill it, sometimes they just sit there and they look at it, but then you wiggle it a little bit, and it kind of gets them back into it. But you stop, and they kind of low back down, and then finally, when you hit it that one time right,
You get that reaction.
so with a live brim, that's interesting. I never thought
it's
about
not
that.
always true, but I mean, for most bass,
No.
most largemouth bass, that's kind of how they want to act.
Hey, our buddy Paul is right there. Well, pull up Paul's question, but I'm gonna read. Fishing with Farmer says Bigfoot is our kinfolk. I watched you and Ryan hug in the shop that one day. I got pictures on my phone. If there was ever a Bigfoot gonna be made, it'd be between them two, or my wife's half sister, because she's about 450 and 6'5". Seriously, she could play offensive line for half the damn football teams out there. Just the whole side. You could put other guys. You could really load the line to one side. Put her right there. So she's got it handled. Ain't nobody getting through that. You look at me like I'm kidding. I'm not lying right there. Halloween one year, she got them platform heels. I'm telling you, she was 7 foot tall, dude. Gosh, what a human being. Paul Coon. I love you, Paul. How's fatherhood, buddy? How often do bass find themselves as part of the food chain and not at the top?
Whenever they present themselves wrong. I mean, a bass will eat a bass.
So as long as a bass is present.
I mean, I've
But
seen
what-
plenty of bass eat bass, especially cannibalizing their young.
Yeah.
After a spawn, if they feel like it, they'll turn around and eat their whole spawn.
But what if you got like a muskie or pike and all that?
Yeah, they eat them.
Yeah, because I know when I was in Tennessee, they said the muskie in that Collins River up there feed, of course, on whatever kind of creek chub, whatever. But they also said smallmouth bass. They'll pop 1.5, 2 pound smallmouths.
Some of the best lakes that you can fish have muskie in it because they're controlling that bass population.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't catch a lot of bass, but when you do, they're big. And that's just that factor of not having very many bass in there.
Okay. Josh, now he had this question up above, and I missed it. But good question. Did you fizz any of your fish this weekend that you were catching deep?
No, I didn't catch them that deep.
Oh, they weren't that deep. Well, let me ask you this. I've caught silver at Latham. I pulled a largemouth out of less than 10 foot of water,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to fizz them.
I mean, it can happen. I mean, if you quickly
Yeah.
pull them up and
Is it
you
that
mess up
was my question?
bladder,
Is
you
it
can
because
pause it.
how fast I got him up?
Yeah, and it's about that pressure change and making that bladder.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me
So
ask
it
you
can
that.
happen.
Spotted bass sitting down on a 35-foot deep brush pile. Somebody throws a topwater over. When they are flying up,
Mhm.
or even a largemouth, whatever, is their bladder increasing based upon what they're doing? Like, I mean, a quick sudden movement up? Are they
Yeah,
doing it to themselves?
It's probably changing for sure as they go up, but that doesn't mean that. But then they can go right back down. See, when you're pulling them up, they're fighting, they're doing all this stuff, and
Yeah.
on a rod and reel, and you're pulling them up as fast as you can. So there's a lot fighting against them. They can't just go right back down. And
Yeah.
regulate their pressure back out.
But it is something that does physically happen when they come up real
It
quick
can
chasing
happen,
a bait.
Yeah, it can.
Okay, very
But you
interesting.
don't. If you watch your live scope, they don't usually come up and stay up. They come up and they go right back down.
Yeah.
Almost
Okay.
all the time.
All right, Tree Knox work. He's talking about Bigfoot, and he does this blood-curdling scream that he says Bigfoots make out in the wild and all that. It's actually very interesting to hear him do it. I cannot replicate it. What's the smallest lure that you have caught the biggest fish on? And then the reverse. What's the biggest lure that you have caught the smallest fish on? And Clint, you can do that too. Smallest lure that you've caught, and Alex, you too. Smallest lure that you've caught the biggest fish on it. And I'm going to say mine off the top. Biggest fish, smallest lure, beetle spin. And there's been some big bass, largemouth bass in ponds caught on a beetle spin.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that. What about you?
Well, I think last podcast we talked about, I caught a 10-pound bass in March
Uh-huh.
on a crappie jig.
On a- yeah.
Crappie jig.
There you go. There you
Crappie
go.
jig. I caught one on a crappie jig. I've caught some giant catfish. I was fishing with, I think, Jeremiah on Lanier, and I watched him catch, it was over 12-pound flathead on a crappie jig.
Yeah.
And then biggest fish or biggest bait, smallest. I mean, I've caught some pretty small bass on a glide bait or a big swim bait.
Yeah.
You know, the bait's bigger than the fish.
Sometimes you get that damn crazy ass bluegill that hits something
yeah.
that like, dude, what are you
Dude.
thinking?
In Texas, I caught a 12-inch bluegill on an OG.
On an OG
Yeah,
topwater.
awesome.
It was stupid.
Like, what the hell was he
I
thinking?
mean, I'm talking. It was like this. I got a picture.
What's the smallest bait you've caught the biggest bass on?
Crappy jig.
I think crappy jigs, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Minorin with a little crappy jig, or I mean, I caught a 28-pound catfish on a 3-inch Prodigy, 10-pound. That was pretty cool.
Oh, I bet Farmer caught a big old 50+ pound catfish on a spot choker.
Chick last year
Yeah.
in our IBA. Yeah.
Oh, you was up there with him. Yeah, he had that.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of we were up there fishing. That's where I bet most people have caught their biggest fish on the smallest bait. It's got to be on the Tennessee River catfish.
Oh, yeah, would make
Because if you
perfect
fish
sense.
that lake, you're going to catch garbage fish. You're going to catch giant drum
And
catfish.
don't eat the drum out of chick. Don't do it. All right, Alex, you. Biggest bait that you've caught the smallest fish on?
Biggest bait that I've caught the smallest fish, probably just a jerk bait, and I caught like a little 4-inch spot on it.
Okay. Smallest bait that you caught your biggest fish on?
1/4 ounce spot choker, 20-pound striper.
It's amazing how them spot chokers attack those things. I mean, the striper attack them little
They
swim
love
baits.
them spot chokers.
Danny, hickory log bass love a baby bass colored Seville. Well, listen, we've always said this. There's good Lord. Look at that. First of all, that's a hell of a daggum bluegill. That's a titty brim.
Yeah. Can you see it on?
I don't know if y'all can see this. Well, I might have too much light. Put the camera on Clint because he don't have it. He might not have the light.
Might be darker.
What you can't see there though is one plate-sized bluegill. Yeah, we just had that light above us. It's so daggum bright. It's impressive though. It's impressive. I don't know what in the hell I was getting ready to ask. Oh, we're talking about the bass that love the baby bass Seville.
Mhm.
There's 12-inch bass and there's bass that eat 12-inch
Mhm.
bass.
Mhm.
And you said earlier about them cannibalizing their young and all that.
Yeah.
They don't
especially
care
Hickory Log. I mean, that place, you know, that fishery sucks.
because they ain't got no gizzard shad or nothing in there. They got to
Yeah.
eat something.
Yeah, so they got the bass is the biggest forage in the lake.
Okay. Does fizzing fish hurt them? I know offshore they have a contraption that drops the fish towards the bottom to prevent barotrauma.
If you don't fizz them right, you could cause more damage. You could kill a lot of fish trying to fizz them.
Okay.
But if you do it correctly, that fish has a better chance to survive.
Better chance.
They're still going to have all that post catch mortality, especially if they needed fizz and you waited till weigh in.
Oh yeah, guys do that.
Because if you wait, you didn't bring your needle, or you're just like, I'll just wait, or that's when you're going to get that kill if you let them sit that long because they're just stressing the whole time.
I had to fizz every single fish I caught this weekend.
That kiwi,
Yep. I caught one in 88 foot of water on the bottom on a spoon. It was pretty sweet.
88 foot of water
Yeah,
with
I'm a-
spot.
Yeah, on a bridge pylon. I was watching my spoon go all the way down, and there's like a school, and they give up at like 70, and I just saw the one sitting at the bottom. I was like, all right, that's the one I want. Like, that's the big one. And it's Lake Kiwi. So I'm like, that's the biggest one out of the school. It was a 115.
Like you're like, how in the hell does
I'm
he
sitting here
survive?
cranking, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a 3-pounder. It's a 3-pounder.
Were you like a
The boat
meal the other
flipping.
day when he goes,
Yeah.
that's a 10-pounder?
Yeah.
You remember seeing that?
Yeah,
That's
they-
funny.
yeah.
Well, it's still 8 pounds though, so but that's
Yeah.
funny.
Boat flip it, and I had a 115 already in my well, and I was like, well, this one just came out at 88 foot. I'm gonna send him back.
Send him back down. That's great. That would not be the fish I expected
Yeah.
to be that deep. And then Andy Miller goes through the mouth or through the side. If you had to fizz, what
Through the side.
okay, and
You
Farmer
got
said
higher
that
risk
too.
of doing damage through the mouth.
For sure.
If you count your scales and you know what you're doing behind the fin, you're going to have a really good success ratio hitting where you need to versus the mouth. Both work.
I've seen a guy try to fizz a fish through the mouth, and after about attempt number 8, and I'm not lying, I said, "Give me the damn needle." Yeah, it was ugly. What size does a bass become safe from predators? And he put without striper and with so I mean just in general, what size does a bass need to be a better than the odds are in his favor?
Probably at least, I think right around 10 inches you're starting to get safe, and 12 would be pretty dang safe. I mean, a 10-pound bass probably still eat it. Because that bass is 25 inches if it's 10 pounds. But in general, I'd say 10 inches and above, most bass are pretty dang safe.
And I missed a question. It just popped through my head again that I saw up there. What causes a humpback bass? You see those pictures every once.
I caught one Sunday. I wish I took a
And
picture.
and I caught one at Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
It was just ugly like that. What causes that?
I don't know. It could have been like a broken, got injured before, and that's just how it healed.
When he was young or something like that
something
too.
like that, but I don't have a good answer for that.
Richie Rock and Roll, tardy to the party. Better late than never. Absolutely, buddy. I had a fantastic question for you. And then I remembered that one. I heard with largemouth bass that when they get to a certain size, their mouth actually becomes big enough to really increase their odds of survival. Like, does it grow? Like, does their mouth grow faster than the rest of their body? And then when they get to that certain size, hey, you're good? Or have you heard something like that?
Yeah, so bass, they can grow. I can't remember the actual term from when I learned about this, but they can outgrow their mouths for sure. They'll grow length and body, and then the rest of it will grow up. Most of the time they grow out like width, football size, and then they start putting that length and the mouth gets bigger. But we stock some bass that they eat pelleted fish food in ponds. And because they don't have to chase bluegill and they can just eat fish food all day, their mouths on a largemouth bass, a 4-pound largemouth, its mouth's like this big.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the size of a smallmouth or smaller. And it's because their body's outgrown their mouth because they're just growing consistent. They're gaining mass. And then typically they'll gain that length later.
So when you take that fish and put him in so when you take that fish and put him in a pond, over time his mouth will grow to catch up.
Yeah. But I think to answer your question at like what size a bass can eat, I've said this a few times, a bluegill 1/3 their size. That's what a largemouth wants to eat. Speaking of largemouth, not spotted bass. So around 10 to 12 inches, they're going to be eating a 3 to 4 inch bluegill. That's now very more beneficial than fingerling small bluegill. So that's when they're really going to start putting on weight.
Okay.
Now they can grow when they're young because they eat lots of different things. They can, a small bass 4 to 8 inches can eat fingerling, bluegill, bugs, tadpoles, stuff like that, and grow quickly because they don't have to just chase bluegill. But once a bass gets bigger, now they're targeting bluegill because those little things don't help them. So it's kind of a weird dynamic there. But if they can eat the bluegill that they need, that's one of the best ways to grow them other than like trout, soft forage, big baits.
How about fin clips versus fizzing? Do fin clips really work?
Fish, so I don't know the answer. I've never done it.
You think they work? Because the theory is keep them up.
It's not deflated. It's not changing what happened inside of them, unless it is able,
or whatever. What's it called?
Barotrauma.
Barotrauma.
Yeah, it's not like you're not getting that air out of the black there. So
You're not fixing the problem.
What you're doing is keeping them upright in your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which helps them gain balance, which is going to keep them less stressed.
But it ain't going to deflate.
Yeah, I've never done it, so I can't speak to really, but no, it shouldn't deflate them.
I'd say it doesn't hurt if you fizz the fish properly. I don't think it would hurt, but that's only if they're still turning on their side after you fizz.
I mean, if you can't fizz them and you have fin clips, it's going to help more than not.
It'll keep them alive till the weigh in.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot better chance keeping them alive if you're not going to fizz them out there on the spot.
Yeah.
But buy a fizz needle and buy a couple of them. Like I was at a Hartwell tournament in December last year, and the guy in front of me in line was like, "Hey, you got a fizzing needle? I'm catching my fish deep." And I was like, "If you're catching your fish deep, dog, you should have one." But I gave him one of mine, but that's because I keep a couple. Like I keep a couple because you could break one, drop one in the water. You never know. Keep a couple. I mean, they're cheap.
They are
$10. Like,
and if you got an addiction, you got them there anyway.
What if you just unhook them and drop them back in the water?
Sometimes you look like they swim down, but they'll probably float back up. Especially if they're tired from a fight. You may not see it, but they'll probably die.
I like how he just kind of nonchalant.
They're gonna die.
They're gonna die.
They're gonna die.
Well, I've always been curious about it.
Yeah, they're gonna die.
I have a lot less problems with killing bass than a lot of people in this area. So,
yeah, I know, I get it, and biologists will tell you some of them need to die.
If you want them to get big, some of them need to die.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
How's the whopper plopper work in post spawn?
this sounds like a kayak question.
It don't.
I ain't fishing the whopper plopper
I
right
ain't
now.
fishing the whopper plopper right now. I'm sure it works. I'm sure it works. Good question. Good question from Paul. Pull this one up. And yeah, and Ryan, while you're pulling that up, go ahead and pull that up. But Ryan said it's nature. There are fish dying right now everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. How does gender distribution? And Paul's smart. These are smart questions. How does gender distribution work in stunted bass populations? Are all the little guys male and the few big fish female?
That's a good question. I mean,
That's Paul.
if you look at like a 12-inch bass, and you cut 100 of them open, I still think you're gonna be close to, depending how you're fishing, what time of the year is, you're not going to see a huge difference in that subpopulation, because if they're stunted, they're stunted. They're not growing. It doesn't matter, female, male, they're not growing because they're not eating. But the ones that are bigger, the few that make it, the bullies, the ones that were able to surpass, they're most likely females, because you're not going to see a 6, 7, 8 pound male in a stunted bass population.
For sure, yeah.
It's going to be a skinny 3-pounder with a giant mouth. That's what the male is that you're going to see. The female, she still might be skinny 6, 7 pounder, but it's not going to be the male.
And it's true you can age a fish by a scale, kind of like a tree trunk,
Yeah,
right?
you can. It's not that most accurate way.
But it's close. Maybe. I'm just asking.
Otolith is the accurate way.
What is?
Otolith, it's a little bone up inside. It's like an ear bone. It gives them equilibrium, keeps them swimming upright in the water. But you kill the fish to age him. So if you,
Yeah. How old was he? Well, he was 5 as of about 10 minutes ago.
yeah, I mean, I've aged fish.
What's the oldest fish you've aged?
We aged a 12-inch bass that was 12 years old because it was stunted.
Stunted in a pond.
Stunted in a
Gotta
pond.
Be right.
12
But I've
years?
also got a lake down in Macon that I have 16-inch fish that are 2 years old.
Yeah. It was,
So it's just the dynamic of the fish.
It's like Texas Parks and Wildlife with Bodark.
Yeah.
Those fish are crazy looking.
yeah.
They're like 4 years old and
Yeah.
they're 8 pounds and built like a rectangle.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
wild.
we just shocked a lake a couple weeks ago that has 7 pounders and they're 18 months old.
God,
Jesus.
dog.
That's
Kids,
dumb.
kids.
Are they just like trout vitamin T?
That
or
lake,
what?
the one that I'm
Roids.
talking about,
It's all roids.
Yeah.
it was just stocked right and right habitat, right water quality, right conditions. It was a 17-acre lake, big lake. And then, another one this year, we're seeing the same age, 18 months or so, and like 5, 6 pounds. And it's just doing
That's
things
awesome.
right. Just
That's,
those
That's
fish will-
just premium.
that's-
like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
that's
Something
just
set up
that's
right
just
on
following
that.
their plan,
Yeah.
following a plan and sticking to it.
How many? So like, let's say you have 100 ponds that you're managing. Like, how many are doing it to that quality? Is that like a 1 percentile thing that they're actually doing?
like
that
the homeowner, the
you got
landowner, or
landowners
whatever.
Yeah,
that
it's
doing
probably like between 10 to 20%. I mean, to that quality, no.
Yeah.
But following a plan and it's working. So a normal following a plan pretty closely, you're going to see that fish be about 3 pounds at 18 months. That's still really good growth.
Yeah.
But then you have those certain ones that they're just way past that.
That is stupid. That a fish
I'll show
can
you
weigh
a
that
picture
much.
when we're done. I have a picture of it.
Okay.
I
All right.
tagged it too. So like we have the age and date.
That's
Let's do a couple more. And yes, Shop Life, I know that question was me. I can't stand a whopper plopper. I'm tired of this damn balloons and things. I can't move my hands and I talk with my hands. Pull up T-Toms. Is it safe to say bass numbers are healthy for Lanier? Anything we can do as anglers to help maintain it? Eat them, keep areas secluded, if anything at all. You should eat some fish, though. If you want to eat it, eat it.
Yeah. I mean, they got state regulations for a reason. So I just, follow your regulations. The state biologists they're protecting the resources out there, and they know what they're doing on that lake way better than what I know that they're doing. I'd say, I mean, when I went fishing, it looked great. There was fish everywhere, a lot of healthy looking fish. But kind of remember last time we were talking about memorable and
Yeah.
a trophy and all those. The state's managing for that 14 to 15-inch spotted bass.
Yeah.
That's what they're shooting for. They're not shooting to grow 6 pounders. They want people to go out there and catch a nice, solid 2-pound spot.
Okay, I got one more question for you based upon that. Now, we know what the state's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But in conjunction with the Corps changing a lot of what they're doing on it, will that change, do you think, the state's kind of approach to lakes?
I don't think so.
You think that
They're going to go out there and run their boats and get their data and make their decisions. Fishing pressure can change some regulations. There's some good studies on fishing pressure and what it does to fish.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't change the populations. It can change some populations for catch rates of anglers, but it doesn't really change the biomass.
I got you.
Just
Justin Nichols. Okay, so yeah, speaking of Texas, 2 more questions. Speaking of Texas, how do they get their sharelunkers to spawn? Do they trick them with light exposure?
yeah, so that's pretty cool. We have a hatchery in Georgia that does this too. They've like worked with them to get genetics, and they can manipulate. When you look at a bass, and you got phenotype, genotype, and environment. That's how you control genetics. Those are the 3 key components. So if you know your phenotype and you know your genotype, you can manipulate the environment to get what you want out of a bass. You can manipulate their genetics.
Okay.
But yeah, ShareLunker is probably using light and temperature to cause spawns.
Okay. Hey, Justin Nichols says Mac have those reactions that can be turned off. So it is on a Mac. And you know what? Thinking about that,
It started when we got the new
it started
computer.
when that old computer blew up and all that. So thanks for that tip right there, Justin. Okay. You got to go to Hartwell tomorrow, right?
Me, yeah.
Yeah. So I know we got to get his ass home, and we've gone 2 hours. And Colin, appreciate you coming up and joining us tonight. Sorry that the first half of the show was more,
Before we close, I want to talk about Latham real quick.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
think
remember
that was the question.
It was. So real quick, on Latham, this electric reservoir. Yeah. One more. There's always one more. Let me read shop lice. Pull that real quick. So
I agree with this 100%.
Yeah.
So here in North Carolina, the wildlife has taken all restrictions off spotted bass and have put up signs encouraging anglers to keep or kill them as many as possible. Do you think that'll actually help on a lake like Blue Ridge around here? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, if you're managing smallmouth, that's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
And I mean, even if you're managing spots, Alabama bass, I mean, if they're not meant to be there and they're not performing, and the lake's not performing well, yeah, that's what you need to do is kill a spotted bass.
Yeah.
Take them out.
Okay.
Especially if they're recommending it, it's for a reason.
All right. Real quick. Hey, so read that comment right there. Alex, while I'm talking about Latham. So Latham over here, 340-acre electric only reservoir, got spotted bass, got largemouth, got blueback herring, basically a little mini Lake Lanier. A few years back, they noticed the weights were going down in the tournament, in tournaments and keeps and all that. So what the lake did was they put a 1-year ban on keeping bass, tournaments, everything. They tagged some fish, la-da-dee-la-da. Then after a given time, they brought back where you can keep them. They brought back tournaments over there. But what we've noticed is the weights really aren't going back up. You have a theory on it.
Mm-hmm.
So tell everybody what your theory is.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it during COVID, I was like, this is a bad idea. Because I was reading their shock data. I was trying to get them to shock the lake again because I was interested in seeing what's going on. And they proposed that no keeping fish, no tournaments. And like we said earlier, tournaments do kill fish.
Yes.
There's mortality involved in that. And a lot of bank anglers on Latham keep bass.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them do. A lot of the guys on boats do too. I've seen.
Yeah.
Them. So they do this 1 year of no keeping bass out there. And then what do we notice? We notice weights getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And that's because that 1 year we didn't keep bass, that threw that population way out of balance.
Yeah.
And I don't think I listen to a lot of your podcasts and you talk about Latham, and a lot of the guys that fish it are like too much pressure. The grass is gone, which that may play a little part, but the grass, I remember there used to be more hydrilla in there. But no, it's the ban that they had about no tournaments and no keeping fish. It's making the lake go downhill. Now we may see a rebound slightly, allowing more fish to be taken out again, but that spawn they had that year that no fish were taken out of will kill you for years. Instead of fish being taken out, this all survived.
So you think?
I mean, there was a lot of people still fishing that probably killed some fish, but it wasn't it wasn't regulated if you want to grow big fish.
So the lake's overpopulated.
Yeah, and it probably was before, and then this just made it worse.
So in them thinking they're doing the right thing, they were actually, in your judgment or thoughts,
If
should have done the reverse.
Yeah, if you're managing, they're managing water, like you said, so they don't really care.
Yeah.
But if you want, as a tournament angler, and you're like, what's going on? That's what's going on. It was not pressure. It was, if anything, that would have helped. that
think
you might
that's-
catch less, but it would have helped kill more fish.
You think that's why Lanier is so good for spots being
Just
so
'cause-
big is because of all the fishing pressure and all the tournaments?
Well, big reservoirs, they have a lot of dynamics involved that
Yeah.
play a part. They got a lot of predators, a lot of creeks, they got so much going on. It's way different than a 400-acre reservoir. A 400-acre reservoir is not that hard to manage if you do certain regulations and people follow them. But that's my theory, and I've
Listen,
been waiting for like
I
a year
know.
to talk about this because
I
I saw it
know.
on a podcast, and I was like, you guys, we got to think the other way around. This span is actually what caused these largemouth to get real skinny, and then you got all the spotted bass out there too, which spotted bass and largemouth, they do not compete well. And then you lost I remember there used to be hydrilla,
Yeah.
and I don't see very much hydrilla, and largemouth with hydrilla, they thrive. So you just had a lot of things that happen, and that's why I think, in my opinion, the fishery's gone downhill.
All right, real quick, last one, Paul. I keep saying last one because I know we got to get out here. Pull up Paul's first part. Will the herring help Latham by increasing bass mortality when they're young? Because herring do eat bass fry.
Mhm.
And then, or is it adding forage, or is adding forage the same as trying to add forage to an out of whack pond?
Yeah, so when you add forage to an out of whack pond, you're essentially giving them a very expensive snack
Yeah.
because there's not enough forage to give those bass to grow, and they're still competing. And when they're competing, they're still wasting energy. So they're not getting. You should be eating a bluegill without, or shad or anything without trying to grow. So if they're competing with 10 other bass, they're not helping their cause any.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
don't remember the first part of that question, but they could kill off some of the bass. But that's kind of the cycle of these lakes. There's other management that needs to be involved as well.
Okay.
It's not it's not to that level.
Okay. All right. Well, good. All right. With that, guys, now we went over a little bit. I know got some guys tired. And you fished all day. So I know Clint's whipped and all that. So, Alex, appreciate you coming up running the board.
Of course.
Colin, thanks for coming
thanks for
up.
having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. And
Thanks
Clint,
for having me,
thank you for that. And guys, thank you for hanging with us and watching. Some great topics tonight covered. And I'm sure Thursday night when we do another live well, we'll probably expand a little bit more on some of the stuff we talked earlier today. But we're going to go home and go to bed, and the thunderstorms are coming. So you guys be safe tonight. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.